If you lost, please good time.
Yeah, I
Until
mean,
it got dark and then you could.
yeah, I mean, I could have walked in there with my from
Sorry.
place to put it.
Welcome, everyone, to the July 21st, 2025 meeting of the Village Lansing Board of Trustees and a joint meeting with the Planning Board, starting the meeting at exactly 7:30 p.m. The first order of business is to open the Board of Trustees meeting. I will move that we open.
Second.
Susan seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Yeah, we don't vote, but everybody's here, everybody knows. So we will, I will call the roll, and then we'll open up the planning board. Susan Ainsley.
Present.
Carolyn Greenwald.
Here.
Pat Gillespie. Here. Kathleen Yen. And Ronnie Hardaway is here. Okay, Mike?
Okay, and I will open up the planning board section of the meeting to order at 7:31 PM. And I will note that Lisa is online tonight, but she is a voting member.
Okay. The next order of business for the trustees is the public comment period. Is there anyone in the room or online who would like to make a public comment regarding a topic that is not already on the agenda? Seeing none and hearing none, I will move that we close the public comment period.
I'll second.
Carolyn seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you. Jody, the next topic is budget transfers. I see you gave us a handout.
There's a list there of the budget transfers and the encumbrances to place.
Just to look at the, we have to, 18 cents, I guess we have to be exact, don't we, Joe?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. This is basically just balancing our books.
Yep.
At the end of the year, the start of a new year, so. I will move that we accept the 2024, 2025 budget transfers.
Second.
Susan seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's passed. Okay, the next topic is to consider a resolution to set time requirement for connecting to sanitary sewer expansion line. If you saw today, we had some emails with information regarding the requirement for connecting. There was the letter that John submitted, and Carolyn and Pat revised a little bit. I thought that the final version with both of their revisions, it looked pretty good. Did everyone have a chance to see that?
Quickly.
John, did you see that letter after I made some, those are okay with you?
Yep.
Everything made sense? Okay. I just thought that, like, for example, I didn't know that you had, that the connecting was, per code and required, so I just thought maybe the readers wouldn't know either, so I wanted to help them understand that a little bit.
And the second piece of information we received was from Natalie, thank you very much, which is our proposed resolution that also includes Exhibit A, which is the listing of all of the potential residences who would be connecting into the sewer. Did everyone have a chance to look at that?
I don't think it was distributed to the whole board.
Okay, okay.
It was sent, so Don, I had sent a proposed version just to Jody, Ronnie, Mike, and John last Friday, and then Dondi sent me the Exhibit A today, so I modified it after 5 PM, so I'm sorry I didn't get to it earlier today.
That's okay.
To reword it and circulate it.
Okay. I will, this is my copy, I will pass it around. The most important part of this is the table. It's just the listing of all the residences, so you can pass this
I
around.
did take out from the table that Dondi provided me everyone's names, so it just provides the tax map parcel, the house number, and the street name.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, good.
Because you want that in the minutes?
Oh, well, it'll be attached to the resolution. It's an Exhibit A to the resolution.
Okay. All right.
And I tried to add a few comments that I summarized with a follow-up to Pat and Carolyn's comments.
I see.
In revisions to the letter?
It was just basically putting into the headings that John had, just restoring two of the headings and getting rid of the ST for the date and adding.
You sent that around?
Yeah, I thought I did.
I received Carolyn's revisions, and I received Pat's revisions, but I didn't see any other revisions.
It was an email.
The only thing I saw from you, Kathleen, was both about the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's all I saw, too.
Okay.
I don't see it either, I'm looking at it.
It was at 6 something, so it was after 5.
The last one I have from you is at 5:53, but it doesn't have changes to the letter.
So it's minor, just getting, instead of 21st, 20, comma, 2005, they're minor. And just 2 headings.
Kathleen, if you would, you have the resolution in front of you. Would you read that for us? I will move that we consider the draft resolution. It's the one that's going around.
Okay.
It should be the,
Village of Lansing, New York hereby requests financial assistance from the New York State.
oh, that's the wrong one.
Which one, sorry?
That one, Kathleen?
Sorry, there are a lot of resolutions here.
No.
Okay, the sewer resolution?
Yes.
Whereas the Village of Lansing has completed the installation of sanitary sewer infrastructure along Cuba Heights Road, East Shore Drive, and Twin Glens Road, including approximately 13,250 linear feet of 12-inch and 18-inch SDR 35 PVC gravity sanitary sewer, 6,000 linear feet of 6-inch C900 PVC sanitary force main, 1,250 linear feet of 3-inch HDPE sanitary force main, and the construction of 2 duplex sewage pump stations, whereas properties listed on Exhibit A, which previously lacked access to public sanitary sewer, now have the ability to connect to the Village of Lansing sanitary sewer system. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Village of Lansing Code, Chapter 111-11C, all Village of Lansing properties listed on Exhibit A, which are improved with a house or building and are currently connected to a private sewage disposal system, shall have a period of 3 years from August 1, 2025, to connect to the public sanitary sewer system unless an earlier connection is required in accordance with the Village of Lansing Code, Chapter 111-11CA, and/or Chapter 111-11C.
Thank you, Carolyn. Were there any questions about the resolution? Concerns?
Should
Go ahead, John.
specified Sunpath Road on there?
I'm sorry,
Should be a specified Sunpath Road?
what is on the,
They were on the list.
I just amended the list. I didn't list roads in my resolution, but if you want to update the
Oh,
letter,
I just see, you mentioned, in the resolution, you mentioned Cuba Heights Road.
you might have, that might be the prior version. Of where the sanitary sewer is put in?
Yeah.
Well, it referenced,
Cuba Heights, East Shore Drive, Twin Glens Road.
So you're
That's
proposing,
okay, but I just didn't know if you need to specify the roads in that
Well,
resolution.
then the letter should be equally amended. I don't-
I'm seeing Exhibit A does include,
But he's saying in the first whereas, if we want to be more specific.
so we would,
But there is a list of all the
I know.
places list, so.
just asking.
I don't think it would be a friendly amendment, I think, to add Sunpath Road to that list. And we could also update the letter to
Yeah.
include Sunpath Road there, just to cover all the bases.
Is that the only additional road? It's not on Rockcrest. Those two can only get it because of how close they are to East Shore, right?
Their property joins East Shore Drive, but their physical address and tax ID number or tax map number is.
Same with the SD ones, right?
Yeah,
Does it go down Sunpath? It doesn't, it's the same, just like
No,
SD
there's-
and,
the physical address is Sunpath, but the property joins Cuba Heights Road, anything that, or East Shore Drive. Anything that touches those roads with that sewer on.
So is the main on, the main is not on SD, Rockcrest, or Sunpath? Is it on Sundowns?
No.
Okay, so I think it's accurate.
Okay.
Okay,
Because that's where we put the main, just because the ancillary roads can connect.
so you were just tracing the path of the main.
Yes.
I see, okay, not the connections into the main.
Correct.
Gotcha, okay, gotcha, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so no changes to that resolution. Any other discussion?
I have a question, Ronnie.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, since I am on Cuba Heights Road, a lot of people have asked me, and in general, I think everyone feels that they don't know what's going on. And I'm just mostly concerned about the letter that you're sending, whether it explains why it is important and necessary to connect to the sewer when you have a perfectly, healthy septic system that's working great. I think it would really go a long way to communicate why it's important. Because it isn't cheap to do this for people. And also, I'm wondering if it might be possible for me to see the letter, if I might have some suggestions, given a lot of the questions I get from neighbors and whatnot.
Yeah, it doesn't currently cover that, it just says the code requires, so I think that's a great idea, Lisa.
Yep,
I think people are more upset about this than you might realize. Even though it can be a great enhancement, it's expensive. You have to find a decent contractor to do the work. If you're on the downhill side, it's a whole nother ballgame. And I think all of this has not been really dealt with in a good way for everyone to understand. But I also know that it's important because of our relationship with Cuba Heights, the sewer situation, why we do have to hook up. But I think it's not clear to everyone. And I think the more that we could explain it, people will, if they understand the why, they will be a little happier about the whole setup.
So what's the answer?
What do you mean, what's the answer?
Of why?
Yeah, what's the answer? I don't know the answer. Can you be more specific?
Instead of it's being treated in a classified treatment facility rather than being treated by the ground and the air.
Okay, so the reason the village requires us, we'll put a line into that effect, the reason the village requires is ultimately there's an environmental benefit, explaining that the water, the treatment is important to the system, that everything be
Spelled
treated.
that out in several, Ronnie spelled that out in several, I believe it's in a couple of the newsletters.
Okay,
That he spoke.
early on.
Environmentally.
So take that.
so maybe you can cut that from some of the newsletters and put that in a letter, and then we can send it around.
Yeah, or refresh it, make sure it's current.
This will go to every single tax parcel owner that is impacted, correct? The letter?
Yes.
Okay, because I think that's the other thing is not everyone knows about the newsletter. Not everybody has time to read the newsletter or whatever. I think it's really important. But also, isn't it true that we have a certain limited number of hookups that we have to fulfill in order to keep them open with Cuba Heights Village or not? It's just an environmental.
Are you saying the amount of units that we have available from Cuba Heights?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not close yet. We're like 300 or something like that.
Yeah, and normally, individual residents don't really count against that number, from what I understand.
Just for development.
I did not know that either.
Yeah, it's basically multi-unit.
Like development things, the bigger.
Yes.
Okay, how interesting.
Yeah, Now, this is obviously a significant number of properties that will be joining, but the Village of Cayuga Heights has been aware of this from the very beginning, and they've never spoken or broached the subject of it using part of our sewer limit.
Okay.
So,
So it's strictly an environmental issue.
yes,
And if someone is unable for, let's say, it's unlikely, I realize, because we are a very wealthy village, but if someone is unable to make that kind of expenditure, what is the process?
There's the ability to apply for a variance after that 3-year period has expired. I believe that variance is only 6 months at a time, so you would have to, reapply for variance from the Board of Trustees every 6 months unless that law is changed, where you can outline the hardships faced in having to connect.
Okay, so do you think it would be at all wise to mention that if you have further questions or are unable to comply with this after 3 years, to contact the village office or something of that
It's in there.
nature?
yeah,
Okay,
It's in there. I'll send you the letter.
yeah,
I think you'll be
Okay.
happy with it.
yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
That's a good suggestion, Lisa. Thank you very much.
And to Lisa's point, perhaps each, we don't have names, though.
We have names, I just omitted it from the list for.
Yeah, she just took it.
I've already started doing a list of labels, getting ready to mail the letter out. So yeah, I took all the addresses off there, although I'm going through my tax roll because that's the most up-to-date name,
Okay.
and putting it together.
But maybe, dear Mrs. Smith, handle it. Well, and
91.
That is.
91 of them.
or absent that, maybe just, who's signing, Ronnie? The letter, who's signing the letter?
Currently, it's Jody
Jody.
and John.
Jody and John, just Jody's, maybe just, what's your name? Friendly, and ink.
I want to write him a little note with a smiley face.
Little smiley face and heart, yeah.
Well, just,
I don't think the smiley face is gonna go too far.
No, I don't.
No, I don't think a signature or salutation's gonna help.
well, it's just a thought. Just
What's
rather
the
than
approximate cost?
I was quoted between 11 and 15.
Okay.
And I'm on the uphill side, so mine's the cheaper end. So the people who are on the downhill side are looking at like probably a $20,000 expense per.
20,000?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking 1,100.
Oh, no, between 11 and.
No.
11 and, like, it was like 14,800 was my estimate for connecting from my house to the road.
Lisa, have you gotten an estimate for your house?
It's not been my first priority at this point, but yeah, I'm about to investigate it. But I understand it's in that neighborhood, probably closer to the 15 by the time you restore your property and whatnot. Because I mean, obviously they dig up, and so then you have to restore whatever they dug up, which could be trees or whatever, depending on your particular location. I too am uphill, and I know that my neighbor did it and did not save money. He did it himself. John knows. He did a really nice job, but it was expensive. I haven't spoken to him exactly what his costs were, but I do know that I have a downhill neighbor who was pretty concerned about it because, and I think some people are concerned about the technology, but I think Brent Cross has said that, the pumping uphill isn't really, the technology is fine. Would you agree with that, John?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
given
So I-
the very high costs, I think that at the end of the letter, we do have to edit it slightly from what it says now, more explanation about what's going to happen in 3 years. Because we
Yeah, no,
really
what
kind of
I'm
don't even
saying
touch on
is
that very
there's-
much.
That was one of, honestly, given my situation, the way it was at the time that I would have probably done this, or when it was finally finished, it wasn't a really good time for me. So it was something that I just didn't pursue, but I'm getting ready to do so. So I can't be the only one, that's what I would say.
It's not a small amount of money.
No, it is not.
It's a fairly large expenditure that we're asking a lot of people to do. And just like Lisa said, a lot of neighbors are very, very unhappy with the idea that they're being asked to spend that much money on a thing that they didn't necessarily know was happening or wanted to have happen, that there wasn't a lot of buy-in, thinking that this was gonna happen. I think one thing that would, I don't know if this is even possible, but if there was some sort of way where there was a collective working towards getting all those connectors put in, where we got some sort of a break in the price, because you're doing, 48 of them, or however many, I don't know, what's the total number?
There's 90, I think.
Yeah, so if you did them one by one and you were getting 15,000 per, that's a huge expense, but if you're contracting with a single or a couple of companies to do it together, that could bring a significant savings to the neighbors.
Is this all? To point out that if you have a failing septic system, which there was a few already that already connected, that's not a cheap thing. That's 30 to 40,000. So what the village provided is as an access point to most new developments that get a septic system on, most houses that get septic systems have an overrun or a reserve area, because they know they're gonna fail in 20 to 30 years. The soils become compact and they don't work as well. So, I realize it's a big expense, but it's conservation-wise, it's game. It's a good thing.
Well, it's certainly cheaper than when your septic fails, than replacing your septic system. But if you just had your septic replaced, let's say in the last 10 years, it is harder to consider this, let's put it that way, for some people.
Absolutely.
Is
It's only 12 years old, I still have a little run on it.
Is this all payable? It doesn't affect me, but is this all payable at once, or is it payable over a period of time?
Oh, no contractor wants to have you pay over many months. If you'd like to pay over time, you can go to your bank and get a home equity loan or get a personal loan and then pay it at once. But contractors aren't going to accept, they usually do like 50/50, half on signing and half on completion.
I would definitely encourage your neighbors to get together. Maybe you can have like a 3 or 4 shot deal. Maybe save a little there for mobilization and all that stuff, get together. Two is definitely cheaper than one.
Okay. Is there, Ronnie, just real quick, somebody made the comment, about, maybe a lot of people, they don't get the newsletter, they're not aware of it. Is there an opportunity, since we're sending this letter out to 90 houses, to just put a little blurb in there that says, hey, for important information and other things like this, we have a newsletter if you don't know?
Or how about I send what every resident should know? There's a little letter in there, too.
Yeah,
that would be a
whatever
good idea.
gets sent, if there's a plug for.
Usually what happens when new people move to the village, actually Carolyn has them right in front of her or beside her. I send them a letter, welcome to the village type letter. This is, if anyone's interested in seeing that. And it is on our website.
I asked
Yeah, well,
because we're having our block party, and I just thought it'd be nice to have them out at the block party. So our block party's Friday, so I asked for a couple copies.
Okay, we'll make revisions to the letter.
It does sound like we need to be more specific about our rationale.
Yes.
We had at one point talked about maybe letting them go until their septic actually fails, and then they could connect. And we talked about that. I don't know if that's something that you guys want to consider, if it's such a hardship.
But in that case, though, you would have to have it inspected by an engineer.
You have to have it,
That's one of
yeah.
the stipulations. There's probably not too many engineers that are gonna put their stamp on something that's unknown. Because a lot of this stuff that we've witnessed, there was a gentleman, Zach, or something like that put his in.
Yeah.
His system was just a hodgepodge. And if it wasn't for the sewage leaking on the ground that he had, you would have never known how old the system was.
So,
For the septic,
What's that?
for the septic system was old, you're saying?
so this was a discussion in front of the Board of Trustees, I guess, before I joined. Were you here for that, Ronnie?
Yes, yeah,
And do you remember the rationale for not accepting that?
for not accepting.
Or not
allowing. Well, when we first discussed it, this didn't come up, but I think that we observed that there were some new installations that were failing. And so they caused us to say, it's better that if we don't do that. But quite frankly, if they've got a new system and you can get an engineer's sign off, they can come in for a variance every 6 months until it fails. If we find that that variance cycle is too short, we can go longer, but 6 months is a good cycle for,
It has to be inspected every 6 months by the engineer to get the new variance, or you have a variance?
That's a good question. I know that the first time, I would think you would have to have an engineer. After that, I'm not sure.
So let's add that to
Maybe
the
once-
letter also,
Yeah,
in the alternative.
okay.
I don't think I would do
I
that.
wouldn't provide the variance
No.
route yet.
Really?
I mean, because then people just defer for 3 years banking on the
I mean,
variance.
it's no different than the codes and regulations that we put on developers or anything. It's just, you have to meet the village code. It's one of the things.
Well, like I said, I think
I mean, it sounds like.
just say, if you have other questions, to get in touch with the office, and then you can, but some people will, some people won't. You'll hear from them, I'm sure.
That's also something that I find a little bit troubling personally with regard to variances. Like, for example, when I was on the planning board, when we would have a very large company want to put up a sign, they would ask for variance every single time. When we would have a smaller company, Mike or whoever was at the time, the code officer would tell them the rules. And then they would be like, oh, those are the rules, I will follow them. And so when some people are in the know about a variance and some people aren't, it's a little bit of a power situation that I'm not 100% comfortable with. So I wouldn't mind telling people that there is another route, and not waiting till they ask. Especially because I just, for the first time, and forgive me for not knowing sooner how much this costs, which I honestly didn't know until tonight.
I think we estimated really early on, it was going to be around $10,000, but that was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So, and with COVID and everything else that's going on.
That's what's figured out right there, price PVC and stuff like that. But, I mean, I don't see a gravity line being 11 to 12.
That's what I was quoted.
I would definitely search some different contractors on it. The pump station, on the other hand, that's a different beast, because there's mechanical and electrical parts involved in it.
Yeah.
He's an electrician, all that good stuff. But I wouldn't promote the variance, that's just my opinion.
I wouldn't either, actually, but just, I don't know. I think
mean,
as long.
They have 3 years, sorry,
As it
so.
gets closer.
Yeah, as the years go on, you're probably going to want to send out some sort of reminder a year from now. Okay, now you have 2 years. Okay, now you have 1 year. And then maybe at that point, alert them to the variance. But I don't think this should be the only communication about the requirement. So there's more opportunities going down the line
You can
to
have
provide
targeted
more
communication to
information.
the people that aren't hooked up yet.
Yeah.
Joe even stated that she wanted to send reminders, that's why she's printing all the labels and storing them.
So, also, the type of contractor that you get there, you just Google septic systems, or, excavation, what is the contractor name that someone should be looking for?
A general
Not the name.
contractor, or like a site contractor. It doesn't have to be a plumber. When you get Halco or some of them other companies like that, then they have to hire a digger guy or a site contractor to do it. Now you have two people with the hands in the pot.
So it wouldn't be an excavation company?
The excavation company, general contractor, site work, site contractor.
Because
I
honestly,
think
that's something
Oh, go ahead, Lisa.
I didn't know exactly. I thought, so, okay, I had a septic system put in 20 years ago. Is it the same sort of person? So I thought, okay, it requires some research on my part. And then, of course, you got to find out the reputable ones. But I wasn't even sure what type of contractor I'm looking for. And so it's excavation.
That's a very common question, and we try to give them a few to choose from and what they're looking for when I do get asked.
Do you think
Is
that
that
should also?
information we can volunteer in the letter, not
Yeah,
specific
that's
names,
what
but,
it was.
but could we volunteer that you'll need to hire you can do it yourself under these stipulations, or you'll need to hire a site contractor or a blah, 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 because honestly, I'm somebody who's in the know about this stuff, and I was still feeling at odds, because there really aren't a ton of people in the area who do that kind of work. Lisa, you're in the know, you've been on the planning board for years, and you felt a little bit at sea about this as well. I can only imagine how the general public who doesn't deal with this stuff on a regular basis would feel really lost and really angry at the idea that they suddenly have this giant expense they have to take on. So an FAQ or some sort of other thing that we can provide would be really helpful.
I think,
This is not new. We've already provided, when the project started, we provided the information, when we went door to door, we slipped it in there, we told them what was gonna happen. We provided all the information that they'll eventually have to, I can find a letter for you somewhere.
the thing I was going to recommend, John, and I agree, is that we can put something on our website that lists that information, and therefore, if information changes, we learn of new contractors, we don't have to send another letter. They just say, come back and come back for future updates, and we might get new people in, or new suggestions on how to save money.
We can't give them specific contractors.
No,
That we
but you could-
cannot suggest.
but
We can tell them the kind, but that's it.
I think you should just put it in this letter.
Completion on this project was over a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. So they're gonna have about basically 5 years. We've already provided the information door to door. This is what we're doing, this is what'll happen, and you're gonna be in that area. So they'll have 5 years by the time this is done. We just need to set this date so people have some target range at the end of 3 years. They could start saving their money, and, you know, I didn't wanna go retroactive, that's why we put it August 1st.
Right.
And your prices are gonna fluctuate depending on when you hire the contractor and when you want it done. You get a little contractor now or in May or something, they're already cut. And the only way they're gonna come there is by elevating their price. So you get a hold in November, you hold December for the spring, that'll save you some money. So that's, the idea of the.
And maybe that's the kind of advice that, like Ronnie, you said, here's some general advice that the village can give you. It could be things like, book your contractor in the fall for the next year. It could be, look for things like site contractors or general contractors. It does not necessarily have to be a plumber, although they certainly can do that kind of work. But any sort of guidance and guidelines would be really helpful, because I got a knock on my door and someone said, yes, we're doing this work. I didn't get a single other piece of paper. I got one piece of paper like 2.5 years ago about this.
Exactly.
And that didn't have a lot of detail on it at that point.
It really didn't. And I just think you cannot over-communicate this issue. Let's put it that way. I don't think you need to be specific, but as I said, just the type of contractors you should be looking for are. And, you know, and if you want to refer them then to additional information on the website, fine. I think you should do that as well.
My concern is if we make this letter 3 or 4 pages long, people are gonna throw it away. They won't even read it.
I like the letter
Well,
with
I
just
would've
Lisa's
liked-
suggestions about a little more background information
And just, let's
on
say.
why,
Yeah.
on the why.
Yeah.
And then future communications with all the other things we've discussed tonight, because there will be future communications.
And check the website.
And we can put some articles inside our newsletter that comes out twice annually, and
Are we currently under a motion to consider the resolution?
yes, we were discussing the resolution.
And
So-
everybody can still call the village and ask questions too.
Yeah.
You know, it can go both ways. If your neighbors have questions, tell them to call us.
And I think we actually do that at the end of the letter here. Okay.
Has the village considered having a community meeting about it?
No, we have not.
That might be an olive branch towards some people who are really upset about this, is to offer, a community meeting or a come and sit down during these hours and ask your questions. Maybe time it for a couple of weeks after the letter goes out, so that there's one place where everybody gets their answers, rather than have, you, Jody, you get like 1 million phone calls all of a sudden, because you're gonna get a bunch of upset phone calls, I'm sure. But if they know they can come to one place one night and get all their the questions answered, that might be an easier way to handle it.
My concern with a public meeting of that sort is you have the potential of 91 people showing up, and everyone has an individual issue that you have to address in one meeting. And that could go,
Each site is different. There's no two connections the same.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if we did do something like that, I think it would be a presentation about how to go forward, but minimal information about specific details site by site.
Yeah.
So we would basically be repeating the information from the letter, repeating the information that's on the website. So is that valuable enough to have a public meeting?
Let's see, let's send out a letter and see how the calls come in. It might be important, and it might be something that is.
That's valid.
Depending on the response.
See what the response is. If we get a lot of responses that require a lot of time, a public meeting might be required or needed, so we do it that way. But to just plan on it now, I think is early. There are potential problems with the public meeting, at least from the ones I've experienced like that. So, are there any other comments related to the resolution? If not, all those in favor of passing the resolution, say aye.
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 We have a first and second. You put it forward, who seconded? Second.
I think that Susan did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. It was early on, minutes ago. All right, thank you. Okay, now, the next topic is our public hearing that was scheduled for tonight. This is related to our local law F for sewer rents. We have to do this resolution to update our code every time we have a change in our sewer rent information. The basic information that's changed is the prices per $1,000, and then a base amount which that's added to for all of the different variations of the properties. So would someone like to read this resolution, the local law, or should we just try to pass it?
Basically, what it's doing is this Cuba Heights, Village of Cuba Heights has increased its sewer rate by 25%. The portion of the sewer rate is increasing from $7.59 per thousand to $9.48 per thousand. And the residents will see this on their October billing.
So I will move that we open the public hearing.
I'll second.
Carolyn seconds. Is there anyone in chambers or online who would like to comment at this public hearing? Okay, hearing none and seeing none, I will move that we close the public hearing for local law F.
Second.
Carolyn seconds. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we have to, I will move that we pass or approve the proposed local law F, which local law will it be now, Jody?
6.
Number 6. I move that we accept or approve proposed local law F as local law 6, 2025, amendment to Village of Lansing Code Sewer Rents.
Second.
I think that was a tie. I'll give it to Susan this time. Okay, is there any discussion about approving this law? All those in favor of approving the law, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Thank you. Okay, the next topic is our comprehensive plan discussion. Now, this is probably going to involve the planning board more formally than has up to this point, so feel free to participate.
Proposal, and that is that we do the possible code updates to the B&T Park before the comprehensive plan discussion, because it seems like a much smaller topic.
So agenda change to move the,
Do you think that it's wise to discuss the smaller topic first?
okay. So we'll move the discuss possible code updates for the BTD Park before the comprehensive plan discussion.
if everybody looks in their packets, I have printed off and highlighted what Carolyn sent in the chart, and I also gave you copies of just the pages that she updated.
Right.
So we don't have to go through the whole, have the whole chapter to look at.
So by way of background, I think everyone knows, but just to recap, I reached out to the BNT Park to see if they were interested in rethinking about some of the limitations that were put into place when it was first formed, insofar as they are not necessarily conducive towards the way people shop, the way people do business, the way people live today. And they were interested in talking with us. Mike and I met with them, and then we also had some phone conversations with them. And what we wanted to do with them was to see what changes they might be interested in. And I explained to them, ultimately, the village decides what happens in what zone, but we're definitely interested in a partnership where we get your input as to what you think might work well in the BNT Park. And then also, as the owner of the land, the people who we spoke with at Cornell have design guidelines and a certain their own limitations as owners, that they don't have to just because something is approved in the code, as the owner of the property, they don't have to use it in that way if they don't want to. So it's not like they have to make a clinic, allow a clinic. Now, if we, for example, were to change the code to allow for a clinic, they still have the choice on their own property of what they do with it. So everybody understands that, and so there were a lot of things, proposed code changes that I would just call non-controversial. They're just, the pharmacy sales in the Health and Human Services right now are limited to like hospital beds. You know, it's like, well, you don't have to limit those sales at all. In fact, they could have small-scale sales if they were to want to. So the proposed changes, Mike and I didn't really have anything that we felt was like a troubling change.
Yeah, no, there was one thing we actually called them about because they omitted it, and they said, oh yeah, that was a mistake, we do want that in there.
And that was
So,
restaurant
that was-
sales.
Yeah,
Which was something that we had talked about more than once, wouldn't it be nice if they could allow a restaurant? At one point, they wanted to put in a restaurant, they weren't allowed under village code. Now, I would be so happy if some restaurant wanted to come in there and they wanted to put in a restaurant. So yeah, so that one got handwritten in a bit later. So because I don't see anything that really raises any red flags, I thought this would be a non-controversial change to the code. Now, when you do go ahead and change the uses, of course, you go through the code itself, and there's a lot of different limitations. So that's why I went through, and the things I'm proposing here, you know, this is not the final, we're not voting on the code change, like Natalie will look at it and make sure I didn't miss anything, and also just write it up. But there was just limiting language in certain places, there were things that we need to add in certain sections, and so that's what you see kind of highlighted here. Like, for example, removing the limitation on pharmacies for sale. Right. They can only sell prescribed medical devices or whatever, and wheelchairs, things like that. So does anyone have any thoughts or comments about these changes, or should we just move ahead as kind of we've outlined here? I'm sure everyone's already looked at it.
Carolyn, do those changes also capture what we had talked about where, you know, why treat, you know, bank administrative operations in BTD any different?
Right.
Is that
Yeah, so then you
capturing
go
all that?
through
That is,
here,
okay, yeah.
when you go through here, the business and technology had limitations on things that other areas would not have. So if, say, you're putting in a bank in this area and this area, in this area, the bank has to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this one only has to do 1 and 2.
So
We
we-
said what? We don't need those extra.
Yeah, we thought it more prudent to just keep it, you know, for everyone's sanity and just ease of development in the village, to say, here are the rules if you want to do bank administrative operation, doesn't matter what district you're in, and the folks at the business and technology part were fine with that. I mean,
And it's, you still have a special permit.
Right.
And so all the special permit requirements, it's still gonna go in front of the planning board, we still have that checks and balances system. We're not getting rid of any of that, we're just making it a little bit more today friendly.
Yeah, and as we got the history of it, and I don't know if we talked about it or if it was at the meeting with Cornell or the planning board, but the history behind some of those, at least the ones that we discussed with people, behind those additional conditions for the special permit were developed, if you look at the dates, a long time ago, and some of them were to make sure that, right, business and technology wasn't competing with the mall. That's not an issue anymore. Same thing probably with that medical one, you know, they didn't want to compete with other areas like maybe HA, but again, that's not an issue right now, and, you know, easing some of these things would, you know, especially with Cornell's new relationship with the bank, it might make things a lot more attractive or a lot easier to do some development there.
You said Cornell's new relationship with what?
The bank,
What bank?
the bank who took over the foreclosure.
What's that?
Quite the way to phrase it.
It is, that's a new relationship. We had a discussion with them about it, and
Yeah.
they were open, and they were
Yeah.
fine with it, and they were excited that it would.
So
What's that?
Cornell owns the property, but they don't necessarily own the buildings, and the owner of many of the buildings went into foreclosure.
At the Cornell Business
At
and
the tech,
Technology?
yes.
Really?
Yes. So now the bank is the owner of the buildings looking to do something. But we had started this discussions, maybe they always knew that it was gonna be in foreclosure. Mike and I didn't know that until it came out in the news. We still wanted to make these changes, and that doesn't impact what I think is in the best interest of the village with regards to making these changes.
And we asked them, and they
They
wanted
thought the
to
same
move
thing.
it, move forward with all these things regardless, so.
So if nobody has any feedback, then I would just ask that maybe we'll ask Natalie to make it all fancy.
Well,
Jim and I were actually just meeting about this.
we were, I think Emil and I were deciding who was going to talk, so
Go ahead.
go ahead and run with it.
Okay, so.
I'll chime in.
What we talked about, because we were going through, the planning board is going through an exercise right now of going through the chart of uses, and we've all kind of divvied up the chart of uses. And what Jim and I were discussing is about how the nature of the area, say, in the south end of the business technology district, is really very different than the northern end. And so when we were looking through the different chart of uses, it really felt like it was hard to apply the same kind of criteria to the south end as to the north end. So did that capture?
This is a
Yeah.
business and technology park?
Yeah.
So that was the one column, though, that we had all said during, when we all divvied it up, you have those, we have these, that we weren't gonna look at that because Carol and I were.
Right, so but
Okay.
we're having a general
Okay.
discussion about
Okay, go
how the
ahead.
nature of the north end and the south end feels very different, and is that something that we want to discuss?
Well, I personally love the walkability of the tech park, and so do they.
Yeah.
So I think that if anything, they're gonna lean into that.
Great.
And allowing these changes, again, it's their property, they'll direct they also have design guidelines for the property, which they gave me a copy of, I could share with you.
And they said they were gonna revise them too.
They're
just to
gonna
keep-
revise those, but that's important to them, and it's a nice aspect, they're gonna lean into that as a feature.
Well, that was a big aspect of the discussion that Emil and I had over the last couple hours of, particularly the aesthetics of the Cornell Park, because I think it's it's very nicely done, it's very attractive, it's a beautiful place. You mentioned walkability. It's nice to just drive through and look at it. And as we were going through this, and I didn't realize we weren't supposed to be looking at this,
Is it?
thinking about uses like, I was thinking, you want to have a McDonald's up there? No, probably, most likely not. And I did notice you marked out
So if
heavy equipment, which we had a real problem with.
If you didn't want to have a McDonald's there, and you were in front of the planning board, you would have a special permit, and does this flow with the characteristics of the neighborhood? So that's where that discussion would happen, not necessarily in the chart of uses.
And some of the other uses we were looking at,
So where's the
having-
heavy equipment one? What number?
I see that one,
Large
it's been
equipment.
whited out.
No,
so-
yeah, that's not,
Which is.
so that's a no.
Which is good, yeah, because that was something we spent a lot of
Yeah.
time on, thinking that,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
dealership, a boat
Yeah.
dealership, for
Yeah.
example, doesn't belong there.
Yeah, well, there is the character of the neighborhood, which is always considered on a special permit. And the thing that we're not talking about changing right now is the lot sizes. So
But
that
I-
would be a later discussion. Go ahead, Lisa.
Go ahead,
I have-
Lisa.
I've only one thing. My former partner and I did not get through all of ours, and so I guess we only got through special care facility. But when I was looking at your chart, Carolyn, I got to the theater, nightclub, discotheque, and I thought, we don't have our only definition is, does not include drive-in theater. But if it would be like stage drama theater, I'm thinking already, but looking ahead, that we might make the recommendation to separate out theater from non-commercial activities as a category, or as a discotheque as a category. But a theater might, like a hangar theater type thing might be
Right.
fine there.
Yeah.
Well, I
We
would
might
say,
add, once we've gone through our use review, we might have some other changes, obviously.
What I wanted to do, because I thought that these were specific to BNT and not necessarily part of like the larger code discussion that the planning board was having, that I wanted to maybe move forward with just this section. I spoke to Mark and Ronnie about that, and they sort of saw the logic of that. And if, and when there is a code change, then you separate out theaters and whatnot, then we can go back and talk with them about that, and, or maybe just make the change because the village decides it's in its own best interest. Both those options are fine. This doesn't have to be the final version that exists, you know, in perpetuity.
Yeah.
But for now, these suggested changes, I think, would be a leap forward into sort of freeing them from some of the unnecessary burdens that may be a limiting factor for that area's reaching its full potential. And that's why I just want to separate this out tonight, agree on these, and then, you know, like I said, have Natalie look at everything and make sure everything works together. One of the things that Mike had pointed out to me was that there's a chart that allows certain areas, some certain temporary commercial activities in certain zoning areas. And we were thinking about maybe allowing them to do some temporary things as well, such as a holiday sale, which is currently they couldn't do there, but if they wanted to hold a Christmas sale there, they could now, if we make these changes.
Same thing with like food trucks, if they were gonna have some event or something and they wanted to have, you know, we do something that work for the students where we actually have like a food truck festival for just today.
I would love a food
It
truck
would be
festival.
really neat for them to have the opportunity to do that, and right now they don't.
Well,
And maybe not just necessarily them, but maybe some other place in the village too.
if you're going to change the temporary commercial activities, it's time, since 2016, it's been in place to add CMT to all of those categories.
Yeah, well, like I said, I just wanted to do these two sections, and then whatever you add to the other sections, that can also just happen. Kind of the way the town does their comprehensive plan, they just keep changing it. Mike, you look like you're about to say something.
Well, I would just, I'd like to look at it, but one in particular, I'd like to look at them all, because as you touched on, you're talking about lot sizes, you're talking about a multi-unit building being allowed at a P&T, and, you know, you need 6,000 square foot per unit. Is that feasible for up there?
Might not be.
Right.
It might be the trickle-down effect.
Right, it might not be.
So you brought something up that's really important here, and I think it leads to another thought. We're really expanding this, which I think is actually a fantastic idea. I think opening our zoning is actually one of the ways that we can help our village develop and raise our tax base and so on. Because we've opened it up so much, there's so many things, would we want to maybe think about form-based for that area? Because form-based would not dictate uses, it would just make sure that it's in keeping, you know, characteristically in terms of the size of the buildings and lot sizes and so on.
I would say that right now, if we're working with the people at the B&T Park, they want to slowly adapt to changes, and this is something that they thought about for several months, and they had several meetings about, and they were slow to get back to us, and they were just like, yeah, we want to go forward with this. So I think this is a small step in the right direction, and there may be bigger steps that we take in the future.
How does,
And with regard to residential, Mike, as you had pointed out to me with the runway 1,000-foot parameters, whether or not we change the code is probably not going to be a limiting factor on whether or not we have residential buildings there, so I'm not going to worry about it for too much.
That's kind of why I'm thinking maybe form-based for this section might be okay, because there's already other limitations, there's already, you know, design guidelines, there's already airport limitations and runway limitations and so on. It might just be a way to open it up really strongly.
I have a couple of questions. One is form-based. How does it deal with existing buildings?
Question? Don't know.
I'm not sure, we'd have to really think about that.
Okay.
I would imagine that what ends up happening is that what is existing is what defines the form.
The form, but since it was designed to be business and technology, industrial, is the form industrial?
Not necessarily, so for instance, within the single zone, you could have, you know, you can have zone one, not a zone, sorry. You can have defined area one, defined area two, defined area three.
Okay.
So for instance, we could say, everything south of that road there, has to be Form A, and Form A fits these design guidelines.
Okay.
No buildings over a certain height or whatever.
To me, that seems extremely complicated, and this is extremely easy, and we can
Right.
do this within the
Yeah.
next 6 months.
But down the
and take
road,
next
like you say, down the road, that,
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But that's a whole, defining guidelines for forms is a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, it's a different exercise. It just seems like since we're already opening it up this much, I don't know if we want to have the appetite to try out something.
I would say for right now, honestly, especially with the changes that they've gone through and working with Carol and I and others, that I think that they're really looking to this as an opportunity too, and we've put a decent chunk of effort into talking with them, and there's some excitement there about it. And if we say, oh no, we're gonna go through this much longer exercise, that might not be the best for the relationship with them right now. I don't think it's not worth, and not just there, but other places too, potentially working towards, but that's definitely a loftier thing that I don't even know if, we would probably want to work with somebody on that and not just, that's a longer process.
So could I ask a question about, okay, so now these are allowed uses, but what level of special permit did you assign any levels like we have, with general conditions, special conditions, additional conditions, or did you have any thoughts on that? Or
It would be the same as Mike said, it would be the same as if it was in any other district. The same general conditions or special conditions for that particular application that currently
Okay.
exists in other districts would also apply here.
Okay, so for example, assisted living would be double asterisk. Special, general, and, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
whatever it
Yes,
is,
yeah.
it would be fairly distributed across the zone.
Pretty much.
Different asterisks.
Yeah, and so what it does is it kind of gets rid of, I forget which of the ones it was, but there were some in there that if you look through the code, there is specific sections for business and technology for, what's a good example? Low-traffic food and beverage. None of the other districts have that, and so that's what we're trying to match up. So that low-traffic food and beverage is the same across the village, it's no different in, and if you look at the differences too, it was like, you can only have one indoor directional signage, and so it's just things that really aren't really that applicable anymore.
Okay, so
So
that's
we
really
might-
straightforward, that you're saying we're gonna have the same, whatever asterisk or whatever, that's very straightforward. The only one it's not straightforward on is the multi-unit residential building. All the other ones are really clear. That one, there's two different conditions.
Yeah, and that one probably isn't gonna
Happen.
happen anyway, but
So large,
we can take,
But what do we do?
You can't make that assumption.
Right, but we should have general and special conditions. We didn't put any asterisks in the ones we handwrote, I didn't think about that, so I apologize for that. So none of the ones that are handwritten in have asterisks.
but we can go back.
But they should, they would.
Well, okay, but before we go passing anything, I just would like to be sure that it's clear
Yeah,
to all of us and to whom you're speaking, when you discuss it with them. Okay.
yes, so as you look across any use, it should line up, business and
So
technology should
the
line
only
up with the
one that-
others.
Didn't have, so medical laboratory would match up with HHS, which is a single asterisk, right?
Yes,
Is that, okay, I get it. All right.
And then for office studio services, there's now a double asterisk, that would go away.
yep,
Because there was limitations that, you couldn't have a tailoring shop, for example.
Into HDR.
So those office limitations would go away for office studio service in BTD.
So then that would be single asterisk, no asterisk?
Single.
Single, I guess.
and then you'd have to
Single.
look at HDR though too, because then
And
there's
why
a double
that's
there,
double.
yeah. But there might, but again, there might be very good reason for, that is something that's
I was
more,
gonna say,
more recent.
we'll look at that ourselves, yeah.
The double asterisks would probably go away.
But it would in BTD, as you're saying. Okay.
In BTD, the double asterisks.
And we'll discuss multi-unit, because that one has a couple of different conditions.
Which one?
Multi-unit, HDR has no asterisk, CLT
Yeah.
has two. So which one do we favor?
Yeah, that one, that's that line that
Just
we'd have
see
to
what
clean
the
up and
two
see,
is.
yeah.
Okay,
But
so
even
there's a
aside from
few-
BTD, it would be useful for, here's a use.
Yeah.
Here's how we consistently apply it across all the, you know, zones or districts in the
And
village.
these 2 asterisks for special care facility, which I didn't write in.
I was gonna say, I think we should take one more pass at this, actually, just to be sure. Before, once we've decided that this is great, we need to add our asterisk and be sure that somebody looks at it.
Well, why don't we send it to Natalie, and then when we're ready to pass it, we'll all look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it sounds like
Good
everybody
idea.
agrees
Sounds
to
like
it
everybody
in
agrees to the
principle.
concept.
Oh, I just want to be sure that we're really clear with everything.
Yeah,
that's
we
all.
weren't passing it tonight anyway, we were
Yeah.
just talking about this.
No, I think it's great.
Okay,
I love that.
Okay.
that we're-
Mike?
I just have one last question, subject ever come up. You know, the minimum lot size, I'm talking about the same thing you said before, the minimum lot size up there is less than an acre, most of those lots up there are over an acre, maybe that's spread out, it's not very dense. Did they talk
Mike,
about,
can you talk louder?
I'm just talking about that the minimum lot size up there is less than an acre, and most of those lots up there are over an acre, and they're pretty, it's not very dense up in that area. Did they talk about,
Density?
just using existing buildings that they come available, or subdividing out so that the area becomes?
they talked about the fact that their design guidelines limit the property substantially, and their design guidelines are basically like, here's an acre, and in the center is a box. And so if they want to make that changes, then they're gonna have to work on their design guidelines, and if they change those substantially, and they asked us about, you know, if there were problems with it, but right now, I think that will take time on their end to really redesign what they want it to look like, and right now, they're not talking about subdividing at all, because their own limitations prevent it.
Yeah, they brought up, they knew, we talked about square footage very briefly, and they knew. And,
So, but do we need to, as a body, set some sort of, review the minimums or whatever? Because if they have the right to change their design guidelines, and they change it to something that the village doesn't agree with, or that would go below what we think is appropriate.
Well, it can't go below the current code. The code is a limitation that we're happy with
Okay.
right now. If there was some reason to change the code in the future, we could consider that.
Or what we also, I mean, we have the input, where what we also want it to look like, do we want it to look super dense up there, or do we want it to look like it's not?
What I think is that if we open this up with code uses, and when they come to us for a special permit, then we can think about what we have, you know, an obligation to express, and what, you know, and what we would like to see and not like to see. But I don't think we have to conceptualize the property when there's no opportunity to do so. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I just want to open up the lane.
But are we protecting the village is the question.
We will, I feel like I said, the special permit process will protect the village. Because that's what it's always done.
It has, I think.
and I think, you know, out of all the developments and, you know, individuals and large groups and small groups that have come here to do stuff, they do genuinely seem concerned about what's there and what's not and what it looks like. They showed us some of the material they have. It'd be great to have something like that in the village, and we just, they really are concerned, you know, about that, it seems like.
Good.
You have everything? We talk about the comprehensive plan?
So, well, I had highlighted some things, and the snow multi-unit was one of the questions I had, and I'm glad to see that we're going to add these asterisks or 2 asterisks for special for the special permit with additional conditions or no additional conditions. So that would make it clearer. I think it's a move in the right direction to take that segment, and we're kind of, but I also was, just want to be sure we also look at the definitions, the legal definitions, but also the credentialing definitions to make sure they're the most up to date. like assisted living, enhanced assisted.
Well, that won't be a part of this process.
That's not part of this process, but that's part of the process that the planning board's going through as we review uses. And yeah, we're looking at the because as a matter of fact, there's things in there that aren't defined. So, well, we need to do that. And there are some things in there that we've noticed as we look at stuff that are, and Lorraine and I, when we did our part of it, we even ended up looking up at other stuff, like we read the definition for bank administrative operations, and I said, okay, well, that's not a bank. Where does a bank go? So then we had to go and figure out where bank fits into. But, so, yeah, definitions are being looked at as we go through that. And that'll be part of that big package that gets sent from the planning board to the trustees when it's ready.
But I think this is definitely in the right direction.
Mike?
I know you want to move on, but
It's okay.
if you talk to them again, a possible idea is, those are vast buildings, those are big buildings, that maybe multi-use in each building. If you don't want to change the aesthetics of the whole park, but you want to get more in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can mixed use.
Yeah, couldn't you put a restaurant on one of the top floors?
Use.
Yeah, they can do mixed use, they can do mixed use in this.
I'm just curious, did they happen to say how many of those buildings are empty over there?
I might have, but I didn't write it down.
I remember talking about like occupancy stuff a little bit,
little
but
bit.
yeah, I don't remember.
It wasn't a secret, but I didn't write it down.
They could have a nice rooftop restaurant out there. sometime.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, Lorraine.
I can walk over there. And a coffee shop. And a coffee shop.
Let's make sure that mixed use part gets,
Mixed use is in
It's in there,
there.
yeah, yeah.
I heart mixed use, trust me.
Yeah, good. Big t-shirts.
But again, right, that's a great example, that wasn't in there before.
Yeah.
Yeah, of all the things. Yep,
Yeah,
should be. Yep,
So this will, everyone will see this again.
good.
Okay, we'll move on. If we're through with that discussion, we will move on to the discussion of comprehensive plan.
I just saw who anonymous was for a quick
I'm
second.
anonymous.
You're anonymous, Armadillo.
I don't know.
No,
I
I'm
can't remember my
anonymous.
Gmail password, Lisa.
Oh, you're anonymous, Armadillo?
I'm anonymous. I'm sorry.
I'm anonymous too,
absolutely-
though.
I meant
There's
to
two
write you and
anonymous.
tell you.
Oh, now you're
Another-
LC.
I'm in there too somewhere, so I might be the.
or why?
No, I can see the anonymous armadillo as well, so I don't know who that is.
Mine just says anonymous, not armadillo.
I think you had a couple typo changes over the weekend and a few today.
I did them all today.
Someone
Oh,
had
mine
it
I did.
over the weekend,
I
that was
did.
you. Well, thank you for all
Yeah.
of you who have been doing some just, language cleanup, typographical stuff. Super helpful. What I didn't get, what I would like to get tonight is, I might just jump right to the goals if no one has any comments on, that they haven't put in the document on the other parts.
Well, it takes a while.
It sure does.
I'm not finished, but it's as much as I could get done before I went away. So what your goals?
So, I mean, we've gotten a lot of feedback, but we haven't really gotten a lot of substantive feedback. So
Right.
I was thinking that tonight would be the night where we might talk a little substantively. Wait, so who's this anonymous right here at 6 o'clock? That's you?
That's me.
This point is repeated.
How do you stop being anonymous? I didn't
I
know
have
how
to
to be.
log in, but I don't remember my Gmail password. So I can't log in.
Fairly common.
All the other anonymous, that was Lisa from she was in there last week, right, Lisa? It was last.
If you wrote a
Yeah.
comment about any kind of, like a period or a change, or you liked certain wording better, I think there was one wording suggestion I did not accept, and everything else I did accept.
Oh, I don't care. I was just, I get into this.
No, I appreciate all the wordsmithing that people have done.
I know, I was back in there yesterday, and I.
Good, yeah, and then I try to accept them all, so we don't have like a slew of anonymouses down the side.
And I put in, and I asked if it was supposed to be.
I didn't change that, I left that, because I wanted Kathleen to answer that.
Oh, okay.
That one is still there.
Show you, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Printed it out.
Oh, I just did it yesterday,
Oh,
so.
okay.
So, Pat, just to answer your question about the design of the charts, those are cut and paste from the county, so they're gonna be the colors that they already chose, because we're not gonna recreate them. But yeah, so can we, do people want to talk about something other than the substantive part of the goals? Before
I just wanted to say, when you finally get to the end, there's some things, because it's long, that I think if we bulleted more things that are now in a kind of a paragraph form, that it might be easier for people to read. And we can talk about that, but it's a formatting thing more than it's not content related, but it's something that when I was looking at it, I thought, if we could just bullet a little more, you could pick out, for example, I guess when I got to it, it was on page 10, education. And it was just, there was really good information there, but you've got to read so carefully instead of having it be all run on and kind of just do bullets, 81% go to, and et cetera.
Oh, you mean in the demographic information?
Yeah, because I think some of that's kind of interesting, actually, if you start getting into it a little bit.
It's a lot of information. If you find a better way to present it, just go right ahead and suggest it.
Okay.
That's totally fine.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
If I was just picking this up to read it, and I'm seeing this 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and then the 2.1, 2.2, I'm looking at like, what is this about? Can you
Okay, so we did
explain
that, we changed that when we were gonna do a matrix, and we're not doing a matrix anymore, so we could make those into all bullets. So if you want those back to bullets, that's fine.
I would love to have the numbers, because the numbers are much easier to follow. But what I'd love to see is like the first principle, have that be 1.0, and then all the other things underneath that. Because at first I was having, just the way the headings are set, I was like, wait, is this a whole section, or is this, we have a first principle, do we have a second principle? So like, there was a few things that were just a little, it took me a minute to kind of grasp the order and the hierarchy. So there's just some order and hierarchy things in there that would be helpful, and I think we can either do bullets or we can do numbers, but we need to do something to differentiate the sections.
So I guess I took concept of first principle from the current comprehensive plan, and it's actually probably very similar to the same first principle that we currently have, which is what's most important to the village. So that's why it's called first principle. We want to call it guiding principle or primary.
I would like that, because first always makes me think there's a second. Like, are we numbering these? Is this first, and then it's, and then all like one,
Another way to put
one, 1.2, so.
Guiding principle,
Guiding.
guiding principle. Okay,
I mean, having the numbers like this are fine now while we're working on this, because it makes it easier for us to refer back, say, oh, Carolyn 1.3 or whatever, but in the long run, I think in the end, I think you should just do bullets.
you want bullets?
Yeah.
I kind of like bullets also. Bullets are in the current plan. We did this when we were going to do a matrix, which we're not doing anymore.
But
So,
now leave the numbering systems while we're still working on it.
okay,
My concern with using just bullets is if you look at a page independent, you flip through the comprehensive plan to look at that page, you don't know the hierarchy of the bullet. Numbers provide the hierarchy.
The
okay.
thing to span multiple pages, yeah.
Yeah. If you're considering a reader that goes from front of the book to the back of the book, but most people are going to open that book up and read a few sections and jump to what they want to see, and that using only bullets, I think, might be confusing in the long run.
I don't care about something like this. Either way is fine with me. Whatever people think is easier.
Do we have somebody who kind of design, like, at the end?
You're looking at her, so whatever, like, I'm not gonna do so much, so. Like, I'm not recoloring the charts, for example. Oh, okay, never mind. Pat's gonna do it.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
But I will say this about the beautification aspect, like, for example, that table of contents and whatnot, because this is a Google Doc, so we could all share and comment, and ultimately, it won't be a Google Doc, it'll be a Word doc, and then made into a PDF, and then made it into something that we read, whatever, so Google has limited designs compared to Word. If it was in Word, it would look nicer right now, and we'd have a real table of contents and all that stuff, but I don't know how to do any of that in Google Doc. Maybe Patrick does.
But I'd like to hear what Pat
Okay.
thinks about numbering, the numbering system, Pat, since you're the communications expert, what do you think is the right thing to do here with the numbering system?
I'd have to take a look at it again, I didn't really pay attention.
Okay, so
Look
just
at it.
don't worry about any of the design, because I'm gonna send it to our design consultant, and then it's gonna be reworked. So, okay, we got design figured out. Okay, great. So just talking about, do you guys want to talk about the principles and the substance of it?
Yes.
People have substantive thoughts that they want to share, so the village should be as proactive and methodical as possible in its approach to planning, developing, maintaining, and improving its age-friendly built environment, promoting economic development, preserving the natural environment, and adopting and implementing resilient strategy. Oh, Kathleen, you wrote this. I would never say resilient strategies. Adopting resilient strategies to equitably meet the current and future community needs.
Very wordy.
It is wordy.
Very wordy, too, it can be
Take
simplified.
out the resilient strategies bit.
It's, and that is, doesn't say
Why
anything.
why was it a built environment? Improving the which age, what was the age friend, what was the thing about the built environment?
So age-friendly just means, from
I think we should
beginning
take
of
that
your
out.
life cycle to the end of your life cycle. It's just.
It seems that it is
Counting.
only talking, well, I don't know. It didn't.
Okay, so
I
I'm taking out the resilient strategies as well, just because it's too verbose. Okay, so the village should be as proactive and methodical as possible in its approach to planning, developing, maintaining, and improving the built environment, promoting economic development, and preserving the natural environment to meet current and future community needs. That's still, okay, we're gonna work on that. Moving on, that's the concept, we are gonna work on this.
Gonna take equability out there.
Be edited, we're gonna work on that.
I can't speak.
Edited, okay, but consistent with this principle, we're gonna maintain a sustainable work environment in accordance with New York state law. Identify areas where residential and commercial development efforts can and should be concentrated. Identify areas where the natural environment should be preserved or protected. Engage in regular and periodic reviews and updates of village plans, the annual and multi-year capital and financial plan, policies, and village code as needed to accurately reflect the changing conditions, needs, and quality of existing infrastructure and services. Consider code changes that allow flexibility. Sorry, I lost it. While balancing adverse impact on the character of the village, the natural environment, and the surrounding areas by any changing density. Provide training and resources so that the village staff and board members have specific and up-to-date information they need to evaluate the changing social, economic, and natural environment. Pursue funding opportunities for infrastructure, sidewalks, beautification, commercial development. At the biannual meeting of the Board of Trustees and Planning Board, like Para Hempley right now, review implementation priorities from this comprehensive plan and discuss progress, priorities, and means for accomplishing the planning goals set forth herein. So we added 1.8, that last one that I just read, instead of having an implementation plan.
Should it be semi-annual
Semi-annual?
joint meetings rather than biannual?
Sure.
Well, bi means twice a year, right?
It could mean twice a year,
It could also,
Okay,
it could be one or the other.
Term.
Yes.
okay. It's a bit wordy. Okay. And we are planning for growth with housing availability as our main concern. The village should be proactive in supporting a wide variety of high-quality, safe, sustainable, financially achievable, and appealing housing options for a diverse population across the age and income spectrum that includes homeowners and renters, and includes singles, families with children, seniors, and students.
yeah, see, that's where you get your age thing. I think that's fine.
Consistent with this goal, we will ensure housing at every level meets health and safety standards, support local zoning strategies, private initiatives, NGOs, and governmental programs that promote the development of quality energy-efficient housing, appropriate in size, variety, and cost. Work with Tompkins County and neighboring municipalities to creatively and collaboratively develop a social safety network to address the needs of housing cost burden individuals and families within the village, and the needs for the unhoused population. We wanted to address the unhoused population in the comprehensive plan, but this is really the only place that we do it, just because we don't have a lot of resources. So if other people have other ways that it might be beneficial to put something like that in that comprehensive plan, this is where it is right now. Support.
I think that's the only appropriate place to put it, because it's really, it's a county directed thing, not a village directed thing, so just saying we will work with the county is.
But it was something that we wanted to acknowledge as a change since previous ones. Support housing development that is in close proximity to jobs, services, amenities, and encourage residential developers to consider mixed use, build something affordable for the medium income range, build a variety of kinds of houses, incorporate universal design, build energy efficient houses, consider cluster developments, build things that meet the needs of families and seniors, and improve existing housing stock. Now, another big change from this comprehensive plan from the first one is that the current one talks a lot about senior needs. And when we found in our demographics was that seniors are no longer like the rising population in the village. It's more globally, all of them. That's why when we list people, it's like families and renters, singles, it's like seniors and families with kids, because really now it's everybody. So there's no longer that focus on seniors, but you will see it peppered in here a little bit. But it was more like, in the current one, it's more like encourage senior housing. Now it's like encourage all kinds of housing. So that's one of the changes that you're gonna see.
So I've got a question about that. So looking at 2.5, most of these things are things that we might, talk about in a planning board meeting. The only one that consider mixed-use development, that requires a zoning change, because right now that's not allowed in most of our spaces. So, how are we addressing something where there's multiple ways to get to something? So in this case, this kind of mixes some, legislative pieces and then some other things that we just, we talk about in the planning board review.
So, so then when we talk about code changes, planning for growth, that there should be something that we should, consistent with this, the village should, it says support changes. So we should support changes that support mixed use. So maybe we should put something in about us doing that, not just developers.
Yeah, because we can encourage them all we want, but if the zoning won't allow it, that we have to make the village different.
I captured up above when, we're doing these periodic code reviews.
I'm just gonna make sure that it says periodic code reviews consider zoning changes and mixed use. We'll put that in there somewhere.
Yeah, because all the other things are things that are we can encourage, but it's up to the developers.
Okay, I just put a note to myself to make sure that we say that someplace. Okay. And this is something that Kathleen put in also. Establish guidelines and regulations to protect residential neighborhoods from potential adverse impacts of conversion of owner-occupied to non-owner occupied housing, and establish a framework for addressing issues. So Kathleen, can you remind me what that is for again?
Short-term rentals. But non-owner occupied housing is also rental properties.
Wasn't there
Not
something
including
else
the
besides
short-term.
short-term rentals that was a?
Yeah, that actually came from Kega Heights.
It's too late to pass a short-term rental law, so if that's all that means, maybe we should take that out.
Yeah, and I thought we had taken it out.
Okay,
Not.
taking it out right now.
Yeah.
You're deleting the whole
Talk
thing.
about short-term rental at all in this?
Well, it's too late, right? New York State's already passed their law saying that if you haven't passed one, you can't. But we could definitely write it somewhere, our thoughts, we can say, ensure that,
If we haven't already passed
thing
them, we
about
can't.
short-term rental, ensure neighborhood. Something about it, we won't necessarily maybe mention it directly, but something that ensure neighborhood character is preserved. Okay, we'll add something about that. Okay. For economic development, I found a promising note of encouragement with Mike and I reaching out to the B&T Park. And I think that outreach, business outreach is something I'd like to see more. When you look,
Yes,
backing up to when you see the comprehensive plan from 10 years ago and what we accomplished, which I think you guys all probably read the intro talk where we talk about all of the stuff that we've done, and kudos to John, who helped me write that section and actually did all the stuff that we mentioned in that section. I mean, the whole first section of the comprehensive plan is like, look at what we did this past 10 years. And it was great, and I feel like it was fabulous how much was achieved. When I think about what I think is going to be achieved next, I do think that we really need to develop some relationships with our business corridor. And so I kind of have that as a goal for our next 10 years, like the relationship Mike and I just established, being something globally that we think about with regard to the future of the village. And so to that end, I thought it might be a nice idea to have a commercial area advisory committee, which I really like that name. I did not come up with it. And maybe that was Kathleen, maybe that was Lorraine, but I like that CAA.
Well, we talked about too when we were meeting with Cornell, just like the idea, I think it was Cortland where they went out and they did like ward walks, where they actually it was a public meeting, and they just kind of walked and looked at different areas of the town, and people could come out and talk to them, and, I mean, that might be something, maybe not, where they were ward, like where they would visit different portions of of Cortland, they didn't do it all at once, obviously, because it's way too big to, walk all of Cortland at once, but I think it would be neat, right, to say, like, we did, I think there's a bunch of bigger areas here where you could do it, but the advisory board, I think having folks from different areas could really help a lot.
And one point that Ronnie had raised, or I'm not sure if it was you, Ronnie, so actually, someone raised, well, if you create committees, you need people to man them. And what I found when I put that survey question was, who wants to be on the Greenway Committee? 12 people said yes. And we found a whole bunch of new blood, which I thought was really encouraging. So I think that if we do form the committees, particularly on topics that we're not currently, they might fall short, but we might find some really great people who want to get involved, and the only way to find out is to ask. So I think that I wouldn't mind us seeing that, and like, just because it's in the comprehensive plan, it doesn't happen tomorrow, but I think considering forming a commercial area advisory committee would be, is a progress step I'd like to see.
And then reaching out to the chamber. I know the town and chamber had discussions with businesses in the town, so we did reach out to the chamber, but didn't hear back.
We'll continue to reach out to, yeah. And if we had that committee, that would be one of the things they would do, say, invite the chamber up to their meeting and kind of work with partnerships. And that's something else I want to see is like, keep working on those partnerships.
The other thing you should think about for something like that is to communicate with the county economic development committees that are ongoing and get their input, because a lot of times if they know something's going on in a municipality, they might try a way of helping a business fund something that they want to do, or a business to come in. So that's another, not just the chamber.
What I want to do is, offer the villagers a chance to, everyone has an opinion about what the mall should be. I'm like, come on, join our committee. Come on in, the water's nice. And so, okay, so I guess people seems like they like that idea. Okay, we're gonna update it, we're gonna keep looking at our code law. Okay, so here is another one of my little pet issues. Investigate options to eliminate or discourage abandonment of non-use of business properties. Natalie, have you any ideas about how to meet this goal?
Just keep citing them for violations.
Okay.
And then eventually bring them to court.
I want to keep on keeping
on
on this,
Okay.
on this point. That's another one of my pet
Then,
issues.
if there's no way to do it other than that, I know this has come up before, is looking at the fee schedule for violations of things.
Okay.
That's what we
Including,
talked about that.
I'm gonna write that in there, including a review of the fee schedule.
When you said it was one of your pet peeves, I was like, it's not just yours, we talk about this all the
Of the
time.
fee
trust me.
schedule.
Every meeting. We just went through all this with the city, and we have not found a way to deal with vacancies other than punitive fees.
Okay.
And it's not a great, there's no good carrots.
Including review.
All there is how big a stick can you wield?
Okay, Mike.
It's not a local system that you can change. This is local treatment. So the process will never change. You can make it $1 penalty or $100,000 penalty, the process will change. That's a problem, the process is slow.
And then you need to get a judge to approve your fee.
Okay. Well, I want to pursue any options that we have.
If we don't try anything different, it stays the way it is now.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
It sounds like
No,
is a pain.
I'm saying you
yeah.
could charge like $1,000 a day, it doesn't mean you're gonna get a $30,000 penalty assessed.
Right.
Okay.
It might scare someone into doing something.
And also, we've already started this, but I want to continue to look at, the things that the business owners expressed in their surveys, and we'll just keep looking at those items. For them, their biggest concern was safety. And
Safety in what sense? Because safety was mentioned somewhere in here, and I asked, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like vehicle pedestrian safety, bicyclist safety,
No.
general safety in their home from criminals and crime?
crime with regard to the businesses,
Okay.
yes.
Shrinkage and assault. I would say there would be word, safety with shrinkage,
And
shoplifting, and assault
Assault.
of employees and customers.
Yeah.
That would be the two primary concerns I can think of.
We can address traffic and hopefully maybe something with unsightly vacant properties. I mentioned these three here, so I'm going to assume those were the top three concerns. I'd have to scan back up to the top where I talk about the business survey. Municipal services, the village should anticipate and be prepared to meet the increasing demands for public utilities, infrastructure, services. Consistent with this goal, we should reinvigorate the economic and social hub of the village, including the design. This seems like this should be the first point and not part of the title. It seems like this should be point one. Reinvigorate the economic and social hub of the village, including design aesthetics of the North Chippemmer corridor. So this is another one of my little pet area. Do you guys know that we have design guidelines for the village from
Yes,
2001?
Yep.
I do, yes.
I want to review and update the design the design guidelines for the economic corridor.
That is an excellent idea.
So this is perfect timing too, because before we even saw that at the last planning board meeting, after Lorraine and I met too, we had that discussion and concept of protecting the corridor of Trip Hammer through here. And even when I talked to Mike and Ronnie earlier about aesthetics and what those mean for this area of town as you step from, the town into, low traffic, into high traffic, then back out of the town. So yeah, that's perfect timing for that.
And as we're looking at the chart of uses, one of the things that Jim and I were talking about today was how our commercial high traffic zone is really kind of our front face to the public.
Right.
And so there are certain things that are in the commercial high traffic zone that are allowed uses that are actually kind of more back of house uses. Like for instance, there was like trucking and warehousing, storage and stuff like that. Those are all things that, while high traffic makes sense because of the truck traffic piece of it, in terms of forward facing, it may not make as much sense. So we have to think about design guidelines in concert with the uses so that they're in harmony.
And then just continue to work on safety.
Well, is that the best place for that first point, or should that go more under planning for character, quality, and
Yeah.
sustainability?
Yeah.
Move to
Yeah.
quality. Yeah, we should move that. Move to character. Okay, and continue to make safety, maintenance, and improvements of village roads and primary roads a priority, including widening and surfacing, safe and efficient intersection design, pedestrian and vehicle safety, salting, plowing, lighting, and sidewalks. I think that's from the current comprehensive plan.
Can I make an objection to the word widening? Because one of the things that has happened, we talk about widening roads all the time, but widening roads doesn't actually change traffic patterns. And there's all sorts of engineering that will tell you that there are other ways that we can address that. So I think the word widening is something that really dates this.
Okay, take it out, it's gone, surfacing,
Could you say right sizing?
Yes, that's a great way of saying it.
okay?
Right sizing,
Right sizing, widen when you need to and not when you don't.
yeah.
Okay. It's,
Does that sound appropriate, John?
Yeah, it's better than what that corridor study did, wanted us to shrink everything down, road diet.
continue to collaborate with county and neighboring municipalities to prioritize cooperation for hazard mitigation, emergency services, rapid response. continue to maintain the infrastructure and quality of the water system, advocate for adequate and increased sewer capacity from both the city and the village in order to permit the sustained development of vacant land parcels within the existing sewer village. Does anybody want to change that language at all, considering the changes? I'll read that again. Advocate for adequate and increased sewer capacity from both the city of Ithaca and the village in order of Kega Heights in order to permit the sustainable development of vacant land parcels within the existing village sewer district.
Should it be adequate and increased, or should it just be adequate? Like, we need what we need. It's like new and improved. It's adequate and increased.
Advocate for.
The increase would make it adequate. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Right, also, I would remove the word vacant land, because there might be opportunities for.
that's what I was
redevelopment.
thinking. I would actually take out in order to permit the sustainable, just permit sustainable development, and why don't we take out the whole last clause?
Yeah.
So read it again, please.
Okay, so now it reads, advocate for increased sewer capacity from both the city of Ithaca and the village of Kega Heights in order to permit sustainable development.
Village does not have a sewer district. Like, the town has separate districts. So I think that whole last part could be taken off.
I just took it out, yeah.
She just
took it out.
Yeah, she deleted the whole last chunk of it, yeah.
Great.
Okay. Consider, hold on, consider the extension of public sewers where economically feasible to areas of demonstrated need. Do we still need that? Okay,
Yeah, because all the villages.
You never know.
okay.
Yeah, I think we need that, but I also think that we need to pair the, and appropriately zone.
To appropriately zones areas of extension to,
Well, yeah, because when you extend a sewer line, you change the impact of the land, so you no longer have to have the same number, the 0.75 acres per
Okay.
unit or whatever. So when we do extend the sewer lines, it should trigger us looking at the zoning for those areas to make sure that we're still meeting our village goals.
okay, so I added appropriately zoned. Okay.
Construction of sewer, you say.
Permit construction of sewer infrastructure that meets local, state, and county standards.
Private. Did you take out private?
Private construction of sewer infrastructure that meets local.
Okay.
Do you
It's
want
still
this,
there,
John? This is from the original one. Permit private, sorry, Yamala, can you move your cursor?
Oh, yeah.
Permit private construction of sewer infrastructure that meets local, state, and county standards?
Absolutely, because
Okay.
like East Point Apartments is all private inside.
Okay.
Okay, the only question I have about that, not that I disagree, because I think it needs to be in there, but when things are said, when we say meet standards, don't we have to meet the standards anyway?
Do you want to take that out?
I mean, like,
Comply with, I mean,
That sentence is not one of our longest, so I would just leave it.
and this is actually kind of a little bit of a global question of doing these. There are things that we put in there because we want to reinforce this idea, and there are things that we put in there because we really want to kind of establish a new thing. So this might be one of those, we want to
Reinforce that, yeah.
And if that's the case, then absolutely.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my first thing of editing out is, well, if it's already a standard, do we really need to state it?
Okay, so for the next one, John, you had a comment, which is still in here. Participate in the joint development of utilities, facilities, and services with other municipalities and institutions wherever mutually beneficial and practical. Explore opportunities for consolidation of services and sharing of equipment with other municipalities and institutions. Look for opportunities for intermunicipal cooperation for services in all departments to lower overall cost to residents. So you wrote, this is tough due to insurance reasons and the care of other municipalities' equipment by other municipal operators. I believe this should be left out as it's political in nature. And then I wrote, I would like to see us commit in the comprehensive plan to a intermunicipal cooperation as much as possible.
Yeah, which has already taken place. Nothing's changed.
Is your objection, John, only to the equipment sharing piece of that paragraph? I know that's a long
That is the
one.
biggest thing that you see around, because, one municipality has to have insurance on that piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So do you want to take out the phrase and sharing of equipment?
Yeah, but what about like, you then want to use like the hydro seeder from a different municipality or from the county? You know what I mean?
They operate it usually.
I know, but you're still sharing equipment.
Yeah, I was gonna
You're
say
talking about
that,
like the loaning of equipment, John?
What's that?
yeah.
Like, you're talking
loaning
more
versus-
about the loaning of equipment?
Well, that's what it's kind of saying,
Yeah.
sharing of equipment. I mean, if you, not just there's already intermunicipal cooperation. So that's already taken place. They come down, do some work for them, and maybe we'll do some trucking. But our drivers are using our trucks. That's intermunicipal cooperation. You're talking about like loaning and sharing of equipment. That's
Yeah, like, hey, Cayuga Heights, can you give us our mower and you're gonna drive it? Yeah, right, I see what you mean.
I don't think that should be in there. So I think intermunicipal cooperation is kind of really all you need. It's broad, it's big.
So basically, we would be,
If you want it to be, and it could be just services or exchange of the staff.
we would be sharing services, which would be their personnel and equipment to come in and provide a service between the municipalities.
Yeah, they tried that years ago and it got really bad. So they had, county had a half of a shoulder machine, town of Lansing had a quarter, Dryden had a quarter, and it went bad.
Yeah.
It went real bad.
I see that.
Who broke
Town of
it?
Lansing ended up buying the whole thing. It was just simpler.
So should we take out the middle sentence? So then it will just read, participate in the joint development of utilities, facilities, and services with other municipalities and institution wherever mutually beneficial and practical. Look for opportunities for intermunicipal cooperation for services in all departments to
I like
lower.
that.
Okay, so we'll take out the middle sentence then?
It's better.
I think that makes perfect sense.
Okay. Okay, so this is resolved. Okay. Encourage flexible choice in utilities and energy.
What is that?
Well,
How do you, what is that exactly?
that
How
is,
do you-
that is also mentioned later, and maybe we just could have it later, or maybe we just moved it, did we move it up here? That's going to be referring to community choice aggregation, which I've wanted to explore for the last 5 years, and I still want to explore.
You know what?
Maybe that doesn't put that properly, maybe we have to put that,
I would say then, say that.
yeah, I think we did, I don't know if we had it down at the bottom, and we moved it up, hold on a second, let me see if that's a change. Oh, yeah, so we have it in service aggregation at the bottom, explore community choice aggregation opportunities.
The other thing too, is we could do, if you wanted to have it be a broad thing, encourage flexible choice in utilities and energy choices there twice. Flexible choice in utility and energies such as community choice aggregation or, solar installation or something like that. Like, people can have their own solar on their property is one of the flexible choices we're encouraging.
Such
People would
as-
join a CCA if that's what they want.
Community choice aggregation.
Okay.
Maybe just
Yeah, some sort of
for
example.
solar power.
Like, I didn't know what that meant.
Okay, we might not need that because we do have community choice aggregation later.
Okay,
Okay, so now we're on transportation. Safety is the number one priority. That's the first point. And then develop public transportation routes in cooperation with all the people, TCAT, Cornell, et cetera. Encourage and facilitate alternative modes of transportation, walking and cycling, within the village, including along the North Trip Hammer corridor, by supporting bus stops, shelters, car sharing, car charging. And here is a new idea, and this is to establish a capital plan and financial.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
So 530, first thing you say is alternative modes of transportation, you say walking, cycling, public transportation, and then the things that are listed in the, by supporting, none of those talk about expanding sidewalks, expanding bike lanes.
or bike, I was just gonna say the same
Okay.
thing.
So if you're gonna,
So add in expanding bike lanes and sidewalks.
and
Okay,
the other thing too is just as a point of consistency, when we talk about, throughout the entire thing, when we talk about alternative modes of transportation, just have a hierarchy and just use the same hierarchy each time. So that if it's always walking, biking, transit,
Right.
and private car, just always have them in that
Right.
order. And when we talk about the things that we're supporting, put them in that order.
okay. So next is another potential additional committee, and it's the Capital Plan and Financial Advisory Committee. And that will just help with things like we're facing right now with the sewer expansion project. They would be people who would be, first and foremost, communicating with the public. So again, one of the changes kind of one of the global visions for this new comprehensive plan is increased outreach and increased committees and increased outreach in various ways. And so this is another way that we can provide more opportunities for people to receive information and to be a part of the village planning process. And this might not be funded in terms of individuals. Maybe we don't have a core group of individuals that wants to participate, but if we do, I think it would be helpful.
So isn't this some of the stuff we're all supposed to be doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, definitely.
I guess I would think, depending on what it is they're communicating about, I guess I would worry already about how legally, we're responsible. They would be representing the village. Are they an agent of the village? How does that all work?
I was thinking more like an advisory committee where they would be helping with, like, when the sewer project was going on, for example, they would be in the know about how long it's happening, what bids were coming in, when it was going to be completed, and the public would be sort of more involved with when we have big things happening.
Okay, so that's a really great idea, and there are two separate functions. The advising about capital plan and finance, and how we spend our money, how we do project schedules, bidding, and village priorities, that's like an internal process, and then the communications piece is a completely different process and probably a different skill set. So if the goal of this of that recommendation is to have better communication, just saying that we're going to establish an advisory committee does not reach that goal. It just.
Well, I kind of saw it more as helping with the facilitation of the projects in terms of more people knowing more, having more information, and dispensing that both internally and externally.
In that case, then, to assist and advise on project schedules, bidding procedures, village priorities, and communication to villagers. Just add that in as a clause if we want that committee to serve that function.
I guess I have a concern with that, because that causes an extra layer of reporting from our staff.
Yeah, I was actually also against this.
Okay.
I think I remember talking to you, and I had written a note in there. I'm like, this, to me, to create another committee to do all this, somebody is already doing this somewhere.
And I think we've
Jody,
been, John.
Jody and John probably, and Mike, all of you are doing it as a team, but my comment was, you need to hire a project coordinator, someone specifically just to do this type of thing, like a part-time job, someone that takes care of the project schedules, the bidding procedures, the village, not the village priority, sorry, she just typed that on there. That's what you need, though, as a project coordinator, somebody to oversee all that, and not to have a.
Like, isn't that what T.G. Miller, that's our project.
I know, but wouldn't it be nicer to have somebody in-house, like somebody?
But that's
It's not
part of
taking
your job.
projects to justify somebody, even if they're part-time, they're not familiar with the village enough to, like we are, we're here every day, and I just don't think it would work out. We tried that when we built this building, it was chaotic. We had to, because we were over the Wicks law, which is over $500,000. We had to hire a project coordinator on it, and it was a nightmare. Because typically, you have to pay them unemployment too, if they get laid off, and they're not permanent, so it's just a process.
The problem with the committee is if they're volunteer, if this is a volunteer thing, that is just really problematic for consistency is all.
I was gonna say, I wonder though if there's an opportunity to maybe have whatever title you want to call it, but somebody who can help with some project coordination and communications, right? So it's not this person, and sometimes Mike and John and Jody were like, here's a communications person, here's the methods that we communicate through. This person, ultimately, whether they get that from Jody or John or Mike or the board or whoever, I think that there are maybe enough roles that need to be filled or could get help with for, not a full-time person, but somebody who is here a little more part-time. I don't know what the appetite is for that, but I know we've even talked.
To the public?
Are they communicating out to the public?
They could.
They're communicating via the methods that we
You're gonna have to
communicate out
approve
through.
communications that go out anyway. I don't
review and
know.
approve,
Yeah, I don't know that it's gonna save much effort on the part of the board to
No,
have a
I
third party
absolutely
distribute.
No.
Okay, that reminds me of something else that's not in the comprehensive plan, but we should think about putting, which is like, what, the staff changes that we need to increase staff. But we can take this out if people are not in favor of it.
Good idea.
I think it needs a little more fleshing out and thought, because I think there's some pitfalls.
But I don't know, do we want staff increases in the comprehensive plan, or
No.
just something that happens? Just something that happens, okay.
Well, I mean, maybe saying staff increases may not be the appropriate thing, but having goals saying that we will make sure the village has capacity to fulfill these things.
With appropriate personnel.
Something like appropriate level of staffing.
Appropriate personnel.
Okay, let me put that in, hold on a second, I'm just gonna make myself a note randomly here. Okay, I took that out, but I'm putting in something somewhere, appropriate level of staffing. To meet goals. Okay, that'll probably go somewhere at the top. I'm just putting it right here, but it'll go there. Okay, all right, so we're not gonna have that, but we're gonna next move on. The next thing is, did I skip one? We're up to complete streets? Okay, yeah, so requiring developers to include as many complete street features as possible, including pedestrian comfort features and road improvements in all zoning districts. Continue to require residential developers to plan and install.
Hold on 5.5, require developers to include as many complete street features as possible and road improvements. Do we want to hold ourselves to that same standard too? Because there are sometimes at the village or.
Yes, well, yeah.
Okay. It says as many as possible.
Right, but you're saying require developers.
Yeah, require the village and developers. Yeah. Okay, so I just added the village. Because it's as possible, so it's always.
This might be a good point to refer to the Safe Streets for All plan that the county just passed with all the municipalities, because it has a lot of the information related to traffic accidents and possible solutions.
That could be a really good footnote in there, or that.
Wouldn't have to be included, but it would be a reference to that document that is now online.
Okay, yeah, if you can link to that, that'd be good. Pedestrian comfort features, which, can you remind me what those are?
Sidewalks, benches.
Benches?
Raised sidewalks, not just,
Okay,
benches? Are we gonna do benches? How about some nice shade trees?
Yeah, there you go.
Anything.
The bench.
Natural.
Yeah, over the bench, or along the sidewalks.
Well, it
Naturally.
includes benches, it includes things like garbage receptacles, it includes making sure that our curbs are appropriate, it includes shade. But honestly, one of the biggest things is making sure there are benches, because not everybody can walk a full distance. Whether you're walking with a 2-year-old, or you're somebody who just, broke your ankle, or you're somebody who's older, you need to be able to stop periodically and feel like you're safe stopping.
Do we have a problem with a proper right-of-ways or easements for benches, John, along our roads, where there's sidewalk and then a bench?
Very limited for right-of-way access. I mean, there's only a couple feet on the backside of the walks down. That's actually the villages, so you'd have to get easements and.
We have benches, we have a couple of them along the trip, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're already there.
There are a couple, but I think the idea that we're gonna pay attention to that and increase them, it might even be that we have public-private partnerships where.
I was just gonna say,
Private
why
property,
don't- that might
yeah.
Receptacles are hard though, that's just a ton of maintenance. I mean,
Yeah.
the village is quaint, it keeps its taxes down by a small staff, productive staff, and just put receptacles up here just for, it's an extensive, it's a 4-hour job every morning.
okay.
It's a landfill management job at that point, pretty much.
The only thing to consider, though, is if we do increase walkability in the village, we will begin to have more need for things like that. So it may not be a thing that we need now or in 5 years, but 10 years down the road, if we've done our job well, and lots of people walk around and bike around, we are going to have a need for that. So it might be something to think about in terms of long-term growth.
I think we should pass a policy that you pack out what you pack in.
I agree.
Good policy.
I love a garbage can.
Policy, but.
Okay, I love a good garbage.
I do.
There you go.
Continue to require residential developers to plan for and install adequate and compliant lighting. It's funny, whenever the plan says something like continue to require, that means the current comprehensive plan says require. And when I was like, okay, we'll continue that. That means that this is, to me, that means that this is a point that we had 10 years ago that we're going to continue.
I think we had it 2 decades.
Would you repeat that? Required.
I'm just saying that when I see something that says like continue to require, that means that when the plan from the current plan says the word require.
Okay.
And I didn't take out the bullet point because it's still relevant, so I just wrote continue to require.
Okay, but was it residential developers? But did you have, would you just read it the way you want it to be?
Continue to require residential developers to plan for and install adequate and compliant lighting so that all vehicles, pedestrians, and cyclists can safely travel on streets and sidewalks at night.
Is dark sky implicit in that, or is it explicit?
No, it isn't. That's what I would like to have you add, because
I think when it says adequate and compliant lighting, yes, compliant lighting.
I could write the phrase including dark sky, it's totally fine.
Dark sky is not required in our residential districts, as I recall. Is it, Mike Scott?
I thought it was.
I think it is.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't think we could dictate that in residential.
It got put in, Lisa, it got put in if there's not so much if you're a new installation, but if there is a complaint and the requirement is to have it dark sky compliant.
Okay.
Okay.
That's one of those things I would love to see reinforced in the plan.
Okay, it's right there, I just put it in. Seek sidewalk matching infrastructure grants for roads that would greatly benefit from sidewalks, but are otherwise extremely expensive to install, such as along Kega Heights Road.
It sounds like almost all of them are expensive anymore.
Yeah.
I could take out that such as, I could take out that such as, or I could leave it.
No, that's fine.
I'd keep it in there, yeah.
No, I'm just saying that there's not a cheap one yet. I haven't seen a
Oh,
cheap
here's
one.
the village guidelines. So now we're up to character, quality, and sustainability. And we want to improve the quality, consistency, and the aesthetics of the built environment and improve its character. Consistent with this goal, we should update the commercial low traffic guidelines. We've already talked about people are in favor of.
You know, I think that you and I both have copies of the original ones of that, don't we?
I do. I have it with me.
Good.
Encourage well-designed physical and visual transitions between different land uses to minimize conflict. Ensure that non-residential property owners design structures, signs, and landscaping that add to the aesthetic quality and environmental sustainability of a site and the character of the village. Continue to enforce the village lighting and sidewalk law. Encourage the use of green building and construction practices that reduce energy, stormwater, and greenhouse gas emissions. Require businesses and non-residential developers to adequately maintain their built environments and explore ways to make basic maintenance mandatory and enforceable. Ensure that developers receive a checklist for site plan submissions that includes landscaping, lighting, and other relevant design standards. Ensure that residential neighbors remain safe and have easy access to commercial areas. So somebody wrote remain safe in what sense?
It's the armadillo.
Armadillo wants to know in what sense.
I don't understand that sentence.
Yeah, I just didn't know what it really meant.
What do you mean by neighbors? Like people who live adjacent to commercial areas, or do you?
Yes, I think that refers to, and I'm trying to remember, so many of these things like were two, and then we put them together, and then they came from different sources. I think that probably refers to making sure that crime in the commercial areas doesn't bleed into the residential areas, but at the same time, there's walkability to the commercial areas. Now, how we ensure that, I don't know, maybe we should just take that out.
I think we take that out.
There's a way for us to do that.
Enforce that.
I think we just take that out. Okay. Residents and recreation and green spaces. And this, you guys might not know this, but prior to the current comprehensive plan, there was no Greenway Committee. And that comprehensive plan said, create a Greenway Committee. So kudos to the village, they did it. So then I kind of wrote like, continue the Greenway Committee. Ensure that the Greenway Committee provides input into every budget cycle. Task them with creating a master village plan for parks. Now, it's interesting because, we're going to talk about next, the sidewalk grant that we're going to apply for from Climate Smart Community. And one of the questions, I spoke with Jerry a couple times today, and one of the things he said was, did you guys have a master plan? Because it's really good to refer to that. And I'm like, not yet, but we will. So we're going to create a master plan.
What do you mean, a master sidewalk plan, or what do you mean a master plan?
A master plan for village parks. So the idea is going to be that we're going to have, like, for each park, what plans for its future.
Okay, that, I just didn't know what the master plan was for.
And then similarly with the trails, a master trails network plan. That's going to have proposed, kind of like the village had, like, remember when we did the sidewalk, Lisa, we were looking back at all those proposed ideas from the, it's just like seeding the ground towards future expansion of trails.
So as far as the trail network, the county has a trail network master plan that should include, that should include our trails as well. So it might be.
We'll start with that.
The agreement may do it more like coordinate with the county to make sure that village trails are well represented in the county's master trail plan.
Okay.
So the county has taken on trail planning for all the municipalities, but we have to kind of proactively work with them to make
Okay,
sure.
I'm going to write myself a note to look at the county plan here. Look at county plan. Okay. Adopt zoning regulation as necessary to afford the establishment of trail connectivity per the trail network master plan. So that may or may not come up, depending. Collaborate with the town of Lansing to create the Lansing Greenway multi-use trail, creating connectivity between the Lansing Town Center and the Village Business District. We're already doing this, but it's nice to have, I think, as a goal. Continue to require new residential development plans to incorporate pedestrian and multi-use paths that are consistent with the trail system established by the Greenway Plan. The planning board should ensure that dedicated areas are maintained for their intended use, i.e. useful for pathways and are walkable. Sound good? Okay.
And it gives, right, and anything that you can put in here, right, as we deal with developers, that gives us these sort of
Backbone.
teeth and be like, there you go, look here, sorry, I gotta do it. But
In addition to us massaging some of these ideas, if there's additional points that we missed, please go ahead and share.
So basically, the idea of a comprehensive master connectivity plan is that it connects your alternative transportation routes with your public transportation routes and your commercial districts. So it includes your trails, it includes your sidewalks, it includes your bike paths, et cetera. Does that make sense?
Moving on to natural resources. Preserve the unique natural features, biodiversity, green spaces, and natural ecosystems of the village, and conserve resources. Minimize the impact of development in unique natural areas. Conservation combining districts, wetlands, steep slopes, woodland tracts, and view sheds against development proposals that would adversely affect these areas. Maintain the current high standards for special permit review of all proposals in the conservation combining districts. That must have been that the current plan says have high standards. I'm not going to maintain.
I can't keep saying
Could ensure that builders and developers adhere to the tree law and leave established trees and brush, especially as screens along byways, along roadways and lot lines wherever possible, and particularly in steep slopes facing the lake.
The only thing that I might say about that is that to leave established trees and brush in our area, a lot of the established trees and brush are invasive. So we may want to talk about, maybe not.
I'll just put in the word non-invasive.
But.
I'll just put in the word non-invasive. Okay. Encourage replacement of plants on the invasive plant list. Encourage development that preserves as much green space as possible beyond the 6% set aside as Forever Wild. Using county data, the Greenway Committee should maintain an inventory of wetlands. So this is this was one that's not fully, completely fleshed out yet. So there's a gap in the wetland inventory information, right, Mike, that we have above 12.5 acres, the state is looking at it, but not below, is that right? They're maintaining an inventory list.
Correct.
So then the Greenway Committee, members of the Greenway Committee were concerned with us having a list, but they didn't want it to be like Picayune. So that's why this says greater than half an acre, but less than 12.5. Does that seem like a reasonable list for us to maintain?
12.5 is gonna change, though, it's gonna change in, I think, either 3 or 5 years to 7 months. So it's gonna be kind of.
So then I should change it, but less than the state tract area.
I put something in there that,
I'm gonna write the area tracked by New York State.
because there's a couple other items in the wetland delineation that I'll probably send some changes on. The applications they sent in the DEC, I sent one in just to see how it would do for our property. And it doesn't cost anything, send the application in, and I got my money's worth pretty much. They sent me back, not where the actual delineation of the wetlands were, but what class wetlands they are. You still have to hire an engineer to figure out the wetlands. So I need to change it to something.
Well, so let me ask you a question with regard to this goal. So this was something that members of the Greenway Committee expressed interest in having. Is the sizing here of greater than half an acre, but less than the area tracked by New York State, a realistic list for the village to maintain? Okay.
That might be one that you keep to the county, because the county's GIS department maps wetlands, and in fact, I just pulled up.
You already looked at that.
Yeah, we already have a lot of them already mapped, so that, being that specific about it, that's kind of an action item list. But at the comp plan level, it might just be work with the county to ensure.
That's why it says using county data. But here, let me ask you a different question then. How does the planning board feel about, prior to allowing building on such wetlands, consulting with the Greenway Committee? Because that's what members of the Greenway Committee were hoping for.
I mean, we review all of that, we review all that with Grant, and we require their engineer to set up, to deal with the litigation, so we get all that information.
I think it's actually a great idea to have a layer of review from people who are looking at specifically green practices and how we deal with our natural areas and deal with our green spaces. It almost like an advisory committee to the planning board.
As knowledgeable of that?
I don't know.
I mean.
This was, members of the committee came up with this action item. This was of interest to people on the committee.
What if I'm guessing what would they do with that information, but leading up to that, what if, sure, there's somebody who comes in and the planning board says, nope, you need to get the wetlands on that property delineated, here's the report from the engineer, we send that report on to the committee members, and if they have comments, they can share them with Mike.
Yeah, that's kind of what this is supposed to be.
I mean, could that be with any?
As it is now, we require them to do that, it's
Right.
not, it's not up to us, but they have to provide this information.
Right. My point is, I guess we could just share that report with the Greenway Committee if they want to see the data from those reports. It's not.
It seems like they do. But it doesn't have to be in a comprehensive plan, but it does seem like that's what they're asking for.
What if they find an issue?
Yeah. I don't know.
How is the issue addressed? Who's the authority
I
on it?
think that it's just a matter of emphasizing protections or just expressing back to the planning board their opinions, and then the planning board taking that into consideration, so the authority is the planning board.
Like an advisory part, advisory.
Asking them, that's why I wrote should consult with.
Yeah.
So that if there, it's an advisory board, and we're an advisory board already.
Planning board, prior to, the planning board should inform the Greenway Committee members, and
I would think it would come from Mike, to be perfectly honest, not from, I mean, we get it from Mike. I don't, yeah.
And
This seems, yeah, I
Brent
don't know.
Cross always looks at wetlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have like an authority.
Get much better than that.
I think it would be great, though, to share with them. I mean, it's, if they want to be informed every time they're about the wetlands, I don't see a problem with that, but I don't see,
okay, I'm gonna take out consult with, share the information with, and consult with the village engineer, but they already do that.
yeah, we are,
Do we-
that's our policy
Do
already.
we invite the Greenway Committee to, like, write a letter of, we think this is a great
That's a good idea.
project or not? I mean, that's a kind of a standard advisory committee thing to do. We could certainly make sure that they're on every distribution for, planning board reviews.
How about prior to allowing building on such wetlands, the planning board should invite the Greenway Committee to provide input.
I just think that's what we have Brent for.
Yeah.
I mean, who was on the Greenway Committee that they have the authority to?
No one has authority.
It's not authority, it's input.
Input.
So input is.
But like, what backing does that input have? I mean, I could expound on, plantings and trees. I don't know any.
Okay, we can take it out.
I have no problem with sharing information, but we already have a forum for that too. It's during the planning board review of that information.
Come to a meeting.
They can, anyone can come, doesn't matter if you're.
Right, but, okay, there's a really big difference between saying anyone can come and having a process by which we invite an advisory
Yeah,
to comment.
It's a
Saying
process.
anyone can come is a really passive way of, yes, anyone can come, it's true, but if we as a village establish a process, that means that we are putting the spotlight on how we deal with, plantings in natural areas.
I think it would be fine to have them involved because I think it highlights how important wetlands are to somebody who's coming to us asking to develop on a wetland or in a wetland area. I think we already do that, but I don't see any problem with sharing it with the Greenway. But again, I think
Provide input. It's non-authoritative.
I was going to say, but
Prior to allowing, so if they don't invite them, can they now not allow it?
I was going to say, what if they don't like
It
it?
seems a little restrictive. I don't know. I think we might want to wordsmith it or put a pin in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I can see work with you, but I can very much see figuring out some way that we can write it up that we're specifically looking for advice from folks who have that plans.
I'm just writing a comment to be reconsidered. Well, okay, we'll continue to consider that. We'll monitor and update stormwater management practices for efficiency. Is that spelled right?
Efficacy.
Efficacy. As well as compliance with state and federal requirements. Promote proper drainage to prevent flooding and damage to contiguous properties. Require and enforce the use of soil erosion control methods for all land use disturbance. Continue to publicize and encourage residents to participate in the tree planting program. I don't know why this sentence has so many commas. So many commas.
That's a lot.
Approach open space development with careful planning and close consideration of any impacted natural resources, including view shed. Consider adding a fall and leaf spring, this is Carolyn. Consider adding a fall and spring leaf pickup service to help residents with proper disposal of leaves and to avoid clogging drain areas. We're just considering it.
Is that a problem?
We're
Is that a
considering it.
problem?
Got it.
Begin an educational.
Says consider.
Okay, and then it's begin an educational campaign against additives that threaten our watershed, including lawn fertilizers known to increase nitrogen and phosphorus levels in Kego Lake, pesticides and herbicides. You guys know I want to ban green seed, but
You want to put them right out of business.
you guys didn't want me to ban them, so all I'm doing is educating the public.
Should we say against? I mean, can't you say about?
Yes.
Against?
Yes, you were correct. I wrote above.
Like, this seems extreme.
I know, these are my pet issues.
You wouldn't let me use the word ban, so we use the word against, yeah.
Oh, okay, I mean, like, I don't, nothing here is permanent, like, if people don't like these ideas, or if they want new ideas.
Careful about naming
The Carolyn ban?
companies.
Oh, okay.
We don't.
No.
We're only naming the chemicals that the company uses.
Well, okay, so to this point, you weren't here, Pat, but the rest of the Board of Trustees had a presentation on Thursday from Quio, and they, you know, as you know, we pay them amount of money, we're paying members of them, and they're like, any research you want us to do, just let us know, and I raised my hand, I was like, can you please give me a list of all of the lawn chemicals that are known to increase nitrogen and phosphorus levels in Pico Lake? So hopefully, they're gonna do our homework for us and come back with a report that we can use to educate the public.
Well, I still think you're missing the point if you don't get into pesticides and herbicides as well.
It says pesticides and herbicides.
I know, but I mean, are they gonna do that for you as well? Give you those, because some of those things are really
Everything that goes
neurotoxic.
into the water quality is what they're gonna
I was gonna
give us
say, the real
information
thing
by.
is to protect the lake and our water source.
Yeah, and our drinking water, which
Exactly.
I guess is also the lake.
Along the lines of against, should you change the word threaten to affect?
Okay, what do you want me to change? I mean,
Threaten.
I know, but it just,
Because our lake,
watershed,
none of us can swim in it right now because of the house.
You know, just
adversely impact?
contaminants instead of additives.
slightly better.
I like threaten, but I'll adverse.
I would love to keep threaten.
Going to increase contaminants,
I like
You could just say
contaminants
contaminants that threaten the watershed
that threaten the watershed. Very good.
and water quality, and just end it there, because you could go on and on and on.
okay, Kathleen, why don't you,
Follow up, got a nice note back.
contaminants,
Next week, you should be getting the answers to the questions that were raised.
Oh, good.
Leo.
Energy, lawn fertilizers, pesticides,
wait, pesticides, it's right there.
and herbicides
Okay, known to increase,
known to increase nitrogen and phosphorus level in Pico Lake.
okay,
Or known to impact, yeah.
okay.
Why do you want to list those, though? I mean, just, why not just contaminants kind of covers it?
I changed it to
No, but-
contaminants.
People don't think of those as, they don't think about what that really means. I would list them. This is partly an awareness thing for any person who might read this far into the plan.
You make it to page 38.
Made it, I was just
Are
gonna
you guys
say,
want to go home, or do you want to keep going?
We're so close.
Okay. Sustainability. The village should encourage interconnected sustainability in design, construction, and use of the built environment. We should build a resilient community that mitigates the impact of climate change. Is it climate changes? Change. Encourage development designed with smaller environmental footprint, sorry. Encourage the use of sustainable materials. Encourage the development and use of alternative energy sources. Ensure that all reconstruction and new construction comply with the latest conservation code. Enforce the lighting plan that is consistent with dark side principles for development. So now I think we have this in two places. So I might
I
have to
would
say,
keep it. That's
keep it
fine.
here. I'm gonna keep, two dark
I think that's
sides.
worth reinforcing.
Okay.
belongs
Publicize
in both
sustainability policies. Provide educational resources to residents on energy conservation.
Do we want to say anything about deconstruction instead of demolition?
Where do you want that to be a new point? Or,
Within
Its own point.
within the sustainability part,
okay, so what do you want to say? Tell me.
just promote deconstruction of existing buildings rather than demolition,
Oh,
if possible.
Right. Just, you don't say
I'm
it's
thinking of the
possible.
Asian kitchen at the moment, and
Instead
I,
of, instead of.
No, I think that one's gonna have to be demolished.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I'm afraid the artistic bombing has destroyed it.
And when you're ready, I have one other thing after that.
Go ahead.
So this is a grammar thing. So back to 9.1. 9.1 is not a complete sentence because it continues the should create, should actively create, but then all the others are complete sentences. So
Okay.
the structure's not parallel. That was that. Then let's see what else.
So much stuff got moved around and like combined when we were trying to make it smaller, and then sometimes we lose. That's why I was so happy when there were so many eyes on this grammatically, and, you know, because and also it's, you know, the reason it's kind of so verbose in a lot of places is that we were combining, we were trying to make it shorter, we didn't want to lose ideas.
Sometimes
So I'm happy
can't do
for people to help us clean it up, ideas-wise and grammar-wise.
Another question for you in the sustainability section, because we talk about energy and we talk about construction. We don't talk about green practices. We kind of mentioned them in other places, but they're the practices that we do in terms of like, you know, we reference them in our tree law. We have them in other places, but in the sustainability section, we want to talk about encouraging green practices.
Can you
So that could be.
Can you build that into 9.2? That's encourage development designed with, no, it's not. Yeah, it can be its own.
Sometimes you just keep them separate.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
The green practices can be anything from like, you know, water storage or, you know, the way we design our new roads to improve stormwater runoff, or how we encourage individual residents to put more trees in, whatever it is, we can make a nice big general recommendation of that.
okay, encourage green practices, including water storage, increase tree capacity.
Tree
We've got a list.
Okay, see Mike for list.
Yeah.
That's
Mike
And we
found the
started
list.
requiring 2 of those
Yes.
for special.
Yeah, but there's like how many, 12 or 18 or something like that?
See Mike for list.
We have the list.
Okay, okay.
Are we want to attach it at the end as an appendix, you think?
I could just make the, number 10 could be encourage green practices, and then I'll have a footnote with all 10 practices.
Or,
Okay.
or we find the source and we link to that, so when it changes.
Link it, you just
update the
need a link,
appendix in the
yeah.
Thing every
Okay.
time, yeah.
Planning for community. The village should take steps to better define the village as a distinct place within the overall Ithaca urban area. So defining the village is sort of another new theme of this comprehensive plan. And the ways to do that are improve the entries to the village so they're distinctive and recognizable. Investigate the creation of a public square as recommended by the June 2001 Village of Lansing Commercial Low Traffic Design Guidelines. Conduct outreach to real estate agents so they include a welcome to the Village of Lansing brochure and sales materials. Continue to send new village residents the newsletter in order to inform. That sounds really dumb. We might work on that.
It's cut short.
Yeah.
To inform.
Develop a new village logo and flag. That's also another little Carolyn project. Identify village trucks with the new logo and village name. Report, promote, and inform the public about Greenway accomplishments, and create a village resource guide and directory. So these are just all sort of a collection of ideas that are like, let's make sure that people know that they live in the village, because they don't.
Brand identity.
Right. So brand identity, that's what that is. And if anyone has different ideas or doesn't like some of these ideas, but,
Where's the public square gonna be?
Yeah, that's what
right there across the street. Bonnie, did you buy the land yet?
I'm this close.
Okay, great.
I'm just gonna make a note in the improved entries is that and I sent this in an email, the counties has done a wayfinding
Oh, you sent us the signs, yeah.
Yeah, the signs look nice. I mean,
The signs look
I don't know how much they cost, but they look nice.
They just now need to be, you know, made, and each village is probably gonna have to foot the bill for their own. No one's gonna demand it, but we can kind of just opt into it and the signs are done.
Okay, that sounds great. So community engagement is another theme of the comprehensive plan, like increasing the participation of the residents. We have the siren system now, which is totally a hit. And so, you know, just make sure people know about it, that they know all the different ways they can opt into it. Solicit participation on committees and in planning initiatives. Encourage neighborhoods to maintain listservs. Now that, you know, 10 years ago, I don't think that people were doing as much outreach via social media as they are now. And so listservs are easier to maintain, and just make sure each neighborhood has one, and that we have a way to reach those people. facilitate distribution of news, events through a variety of communication modalities, including active use of social media and social networks, including Facebook and Instagram. Oh,
I don't think we should name.
wait, hold on a second.
Social media.
I have that twice. How did that happen twice?
Yes, the Armadillo noted that too.
Oh, okay, so you know what happened was that Pat said we need to have this. Okay, I'm taking out Facebook and Instagram, but we have this twice. Okay, so we're gonna do that, Pat's gonna do that, so that's amazing. Continue to communicate clean energy programs and campaigns via newsletter and listservs. Involve community members, including the school districts, in village initiatives and events when feasible. So just trying to reach out through all different modalities and just trying to reach out, community engagement. And then service aggregation might move up to a different section, but this is the last thing, but just trying to explore service aggregation and collective services in a way that will save money for the villagers. And that's it, you know, just like shopping.
Is that redundant from the prior paragraph? We were talking about trying to set up intermunicipal services and share them.
Yeah, that's why we were thinking moving this up to the, there's the section of, what's that section called? Municipal services.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Kathleen suggested moving this to municipal services.
I mean, you're gonna screen call loose leaf collection twice now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's,
Really
I wonder
wonderful.
why that's mentioned twice in the plan.
So something that I didn't see mentioned at all in our resilience discussions is some sort of village resilience hub.
No, we did,
Oh, shit.
we did.
Did I miss that?
We definitely mentioned it once in some capacity. Do we call it a resilience hub?
The overarching, but it got removed.
Did that get, right now?
I just looked, it was recognizing zero hits.
Okay, so we had that got,
Should have been in
so we should put that under natural resources, or what's
there. Sustainability.
Well, it's
Concept we need.
sustainability because,
sustainability, yeah.
and it might even be like a sub to climate change, the climate change one, because, you know, as we have more storms and people lose power and stuff like that, we need a place where people can go and charge their phones, you know, have their medical devices powered, you know, put their medicines away in a fridge that still works.
Okay, so, yeah, add resilience hub. Yeah, we had that at one point, it got edited out. Okay, what else?
So that was the whole reason, it was originally in the first principle, you know, the adopting and implementing the adaptation.
Let's make it point one in sustainability now.
That just got removed.
We'll put that back in.
Sure, it goes back in.
Okay,
Yeah.
what else?
Okay, sounds like this discussion for tonight is over, so.
Quite impressive work. Good job.
Thanks for doing that, Carolyn. Thanks for
You guys did a
facilitating that.
Just with regard, we're not gonna do the implementation plan. With regard to the charts, they're probably gonna be updated. These, what's in here, first of all, the copies are weird because it's Google Docs. And then also the information, like if anyone has participated in the survey since I put this in, I didn't bother to check, but I'm gonna, like, at the very last minute before we print or whatever, then I'm gonna update all those percentages and whatnot, so that could all change. And people can still participate.
Okay. Okay, I am going to move on to the next topic, which is general discussion for the Board of Trustees. So we'll go down around the table. Susan?
Nothing from me, all my meetings come up this week and next.
Okay. Carolyn, anything else?
Yeah, so I can wait for Kathleen to go, or we can just do it right now. So we have decided to apply for the CSE grants for the two sidewalk projects that we have, the one on Uptown Road and the one on Craft Road. And I've been speaking with Jerry about that. And we were talking at our staff meeting about whether we should apply for both projects or just one. And Jerry and his boss both thought that it was one project. I was a little worried because there's some stormwater aspects of the Craft Road project, and that's like a different category. And then did we have like all this DEC stuff that we had to fill out, making the application more difficult? But then Jerry's boss said, and I don't know who he is, so that's what I call him, Jerry's boss. He said, no, if it's in relation to the sidewalk and it's a small portion of that plan, it's still just a sidewalk plan.
But it's all relative to climate smart.
So,
Sidewalk.
they both liked the idea that we applied for both as one project. It's just sort of like connectivity, expanding sidewalk connectivity. So that is due on the 31st, which is, next week. So I'm gonna meet with him on Wednesday, and we're gonna start the application process. But we do need, the first thing we need is a resolution, which Kathleen pointed out, tonight or never. So let's do it tonight. Let's do it right now.
Last question, what about your, the application number, or that number you need?
I haven't done that yet. I'm gonna do that after we do the resolution.
You have to register.
No, no,
I was gonna do that after we got the,
resolution passed, right.
but as soon as I do that, then I'll have access to the application forms, and I can start wordsmithing how to, we have so much going on right in this area where the sidewalks are connecting. I think it's gonna be a relatively, I don't know if we'll get the grant, but I think we're gonna have content to really dig into connectivity to medical facilities and TCAT and food sources. So I do think it's gonna be a strong proposal. Whether we get it or not, I have no idea. One of the things I asked them for is that I looked at the applicants who received grants in last year, and there's two very similar sidewalk projects, and I was like, because this is what we do in law all the time, I'm like, can I have a copy of those two proposals? And he said he didn't think he could get them, but maybe he knew somebody who could get them, so maybe. I can look, I don't know, somewhere.
So,
But they were smaller, smaller, I'll let you know, I'll look it up.
so they've got all the past awards listed with the villages and what kind of projects.
What was their percentage of approval on this, on the applicants versus successful candidates?
Without looking, I don't remember.
I don't know. I can ask him that on Wednesday. I'll find you the list of places, though, that I can get you.
Okay. So I was titling this resolution as, Consolidated Funding Application for Village Sidewalk Projects 2025. Does that sound appropriate?
So
Say that
you
again.
want-
Consolidated funding application, which is mentioned within the resolution for village sidewalk projects 2025. And Carolyn or Kathleen, do you want to read the resolution since you both wrote it?
Go ahead.
Whereas the Village of Lansing, New York hereby requests financial assistance from the New York State Climate Smart Communities Grant Program pursuant to Education, Environmental Conservation Law, Article 54, Title 15. Whereas the Village of Lansing, New York certifies that it has identified $572,138.50 of matching funds from the general fund pursuant to the requirements of the Environmental Conservation Law, Article 54, Title 15. Therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Lansing, New York hereby authorizes Carolyn Green, the Deputy Mayor, as a official or employee to act on its behalf in submittal of an application through the consolidation funding application for $572,138.50 to be used for the Uptown Road and Craft Road sidewalk connectivity and expansion project. And then it would be adopted this 21st day of July 2025, and then the certification statement, if you approve. So it's a 50% match. That's what that is.
And this number in here is 50% of the overall project cost. Right.
That's correct.
Okay. I will move this resolution.
Second.
Susan Ainsley seconds. Is there any further discussion about the resolution?
I would just clean up the second paragraph, the last line. Should be a comma after 54 and then capital T for total.
Oh, to match the first paragraph?
Where should it be?
Okay. Friendly amendment.
Okay.
Any other discussion, comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, that's unanimous. Okay, anything else, Carolyn?
No, that's it.
Pat? Tonight? Kathleen?
No. gave this report last week.
Okay. And I have nothing for tonight either. So the next order of business is for us to adjourn. Mike, why don't you adjourn the planning board first?
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the planning board meeting at 10:03 PM.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Yumila, second by Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And I will move an adjournment at 10:03 also for the Board of Trustees.
And
Susan seconds. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you all for a,
Appreciate everyone's
meeting.
input, and continue to make any kind of substantive comments, as well as the grammatical comments on the document. Everything's considered.
That is really.
You really put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
Amazing amount.
It's that
My poor
town,
dog is getting so mad at me.
Sorry, Jody.
county, and
But if I didn't go through it one by one, nobody would have said anything.
it's under the veterans, the,
Miss Weeds.
I don't remember which thing it was, but it was under.
I print out. I'm gonna, should I take that now with me, or should I come back on Friday with that?
But the printouts I gave you?
No, the rollers.
But
you're-
I highlighted it and put it.
I'll come back on Friday.
Thank you.
And I think it was page 9.
And there was one other where I said greater than rather than less than.
Oh, all right.
I just wasn't sure Mike was gonna ask you